Welcome to episode 87 of the Wilderness Podcast. I'm your host, Dills, and with me is Deegan.
Hey, how's it going?
The going's pretty good. A little bit of a more quiet week this week. We get some more invites for Oldschool Runescape Mobile, and I guess some tweaks to the quest A Taste of Hope, and they touch briefly on the new raids that's coming out next week.
Yep, they tweaked the Slep, one of the new areas.
Yeah, I guess they did some touch-ups there. But anyways, before we get into all of that, what did you do this week?
Oh my god, I did a lot.
Oh boy.
So I did a couple raids, not that many. Did a small handful of raids, and I was lucky enough to get a 4-man deck split.
Not
so
bad.
Pretty lucky on that.
It's like, what, 15 mil or so?
16 mil, I believe, which is nice. And I want to say, for the past couple episodes, I was saying how I have max mage minus a Kodai wand, but it's not a big deal.
Yep.
Oh my fuck, was I ever wrong.
Okay, yeah, I remember now. Yeah, you were saying how the Kodai wand is kind of like a niche weapon, like you don't.
Yeah, I mean, you use it for bursting, for Slayer and some bossing in Inferno, but it is so fucking good for Slayer and shit. When you can use it, you can really use it. So it was brought to my attention, by someone, that it's actually a really good weapon. So I went and looked it up, and I did not realize how good it was. If you don't know what the Kodai wand is, it's a wand that came out with Ancestral and all that stuff.
Yeah.
With the new raids, and you attach an insignia onto a master wand, and you make the Kodai wand.
Things like 100+ mil, right?
115-ish mil, probably a bit more. By the time you guys hear this, Raids 2 will be out or coming out soon. So I wouldn't be surprised if it's 120 plus.
Yeah.
So the main thing is that it acts as a water staff. So you're able to blood barrage and ice barrage at the same time. You can go in between in your rune pouches, and so it's really nice. You have a 15% chance of negating rune costs.
Wow.
And it gives you a 15% magic strength bonus.
Yeah, okay, those are some pretty big buffs.
For reference though, full Ancestral, the hat top and bottom, gives you 6% magic strength.
6?
And I think 6%.
Okay.
And I think the occult necklace gives you, is it a 10%?
Let's look it up right here with the power of the internet.
Yeah, it's 10%. So it's big DPS boost. And if you like to barrage your tasks, for Slayer or anything like that, it's amazing. So I went ahead and I started saving for that. I sold my Elder Maul actually after getting the 4-man deck split.
True.
So I also have just been doing a fuck ton of Slayer. I want to get as close to 99 Slayer before Raids 2 come out, because I hadn't really touched Slayer for months. I would do a little bit here and there in between raiding, but really I haven't really done that much Slayer, and I'd like to get to 99.
It was all Vorkath and Chambers of Xeric, wasn't it?
Yeah, exactly. And I do want to get it close. I want to get to 99, and I know if Raids 2 come out, I'll be doing as much of that as possible. I've been trying to find some people, trying to get as many people together as possible, and pretty much carry me with their T-bows. Not really, but just try and get as many people together, and because I would ideally like to be spamming Raids 2 in all my free time, as lame as that sounds, but you get a Grazi drop on week 1, dude. On not even day 1, but week 1, that's gonna be 500. I would not be surprised. It's a 500 mil, 100 mil split.
On day 1, I think it's gonna be up there with T.
No, week 1, week 2, depending on what the drop rates are, it could be fucking bank.
I could see it being as valuable as a T-bow.
Maybe on day 1, yeah, because people want to buy, but it'll settle a couple months from now. It won't be that much. It won't be anywhere near T-bow.
Most likely not.
I give it 6 months. I wouldn't be surprised if it's 200 mil. Maybe a year once the price settles. Maybe 200 mil maybe. Anyways, doesn't matter. Speculation. Yeah, so I did a bunch of Slayer. And so during this week of non-stop Slayer grinds, I did a crap ton of Cerberus, Dagonoth Kings, and then just random tasks and stuff, right?
Mm-hmm.
So dude, in one Cerberus, keep in mind I did multiple Cerberus tasks. I probably did well over 300 kills this week. In one task, I got 2 Eternal Crystals and a Primordial.
Wow.
Oh yeah, super nice. I'm almost 2k kill count now. I forget what my kill count is as of right now. I'm pretty close to it. But that's nice. I did some Arma as well. I had the weirdest Arma trip. So I got an Arma helm, which is nice.
How much is that?
5.4 mil.
Okay, it's something though.
3 U seeds and a rune sword.
Ooh, the rune sword's a bad one.
Yeah, each UC's 1 in 128.
Okay, so it's fairly rare, but the thing about the Rune Sword, that thing's like 1 out of 500.
Yeah.
It's more rare than a bunch of the God Wars items.
Yeah. I had potential to like Iron Man a full Arma set in one trip. Like I had the RNG for it, I just rolled on the wrong things. That would be so funny though, if I could just pull a whole set in one trip. Iron Man community would hate me.
Jagex loves trolling people with the drop rates on items like that, because they'll...
Oh yeah.
You see that with a bunch. They'll add in the Rune Sword, which is more rare than a bunch of the God Wars items. So you know if you get the Rune Sword, you're like, what the fuck? Are you kidding me? Because the thing's worth like, what, 15k? It's worth nothing compared to like a 40 mil drop, right?
Yep.
Even on the hard clue scrolls, if you get one of the super combat potions, like super attack, strength, or defense, if you get a 1 dose as a reward, that is as rare as a third age piece. So you can get the, 200 GP item or 100 mil. You know what I mean? Like, they put those items on there just to troll you.
Really? It's that rare?
Yeah, here, let me pull it up right now, actually. Okay, I'm having a problem right now finding the hard clue scroll drop rates, but I found the elite clue scroll. So this is called the mega rare table. You have a 1 in 206 chance of landing on it, and this consists of any of the gilded armor pieces, so the scimitar and the boots are worth quite a bit, or the lava dragon mask, which is just like 2 mil, so it's whatever. But anyways, on that mega rare table, you also have the chance of getting a variety of potions and an empty bucket. So if you get an empty bucket, you know you were very close to getting a gilded piece, which is worth a 1 to like 20 mil. I think the gilded scimitar is a fair bit, 12 mil.
But
yeah. So they did that just to troll people.
Anyways,
yeah. Moving on.
I did a lot more this week.
Oh boy.
So I did a bunch of Dagonoth Kings as well. Every Dagonoth task, I've now just been doing the Kings. I don't have Elite Diary yet, and that's kind of why I wasn't doing them. But dude, with the okay, so I'm okay with saying this because they're in the process of selling by the time you guys hear this. But I bought a couple of Archer rings, and I've made well over $1 million on each of them because they've been just flying up in price.
Right.
So like that shit's going up in price, and like I'm just thinking, well, now's a good time to do DKs while all these items, and same with like Cerberus and like all this stuff, because all the PVM gear is going up in price in preparation of raids too. So like Arma and stuff is always a good idea, all that stuff.
Yeah, because the thing is, it's gonna keep going up in price, and then when raids comes out, like Theater of Blood, the items that you are going to use in the raids, I'm pretty sure will continue to go up for the next couple weeks.
Oh yeah.
Whereas the items you're not going to use, they're going to crash hard.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure Dragon Hunter crossbows will crash. They're going to start going down in the next 2 months.
You might go and do the raid and realize ranging is not necessary at all in that raid. Therefore, a bunch of the pieces are going to crash.
Yeah.
Nobody really knows, aside from a few people that have gone out and seen the actual raid itself.
Yeah. So, did a bunch of Dagonoth Kings, and I had the weirdest trip ever. So the way, like, if you ever get like a Archers, Farseers, or like, any of those helms, the Fremennik helmets.
Yep.
That you can use after doing Fremennik trials. I believe it's a 1 in 128, the same as a ring.
Wow.
So I've gotten too many of those. I've gotten so many of them. But I had one trip where I got a couple of those. I got a Dragon Axe, a Seer's ring, and a Warrior ring all in one trip. So that was super weird. I was kind of hoping to get all the rings in one trip. But I got a Seer's ring, a Warrior's ring, and then today I got an Archer's ring, and then a couple days ago I got a Berserker. So I've gotten all the rings this past week. At DKs. So it's some pretty nice money. Got like a lot of random uniques. I went ahead and bought my Imbued Heart as well. So now I have like all the mage related shit. I'm done with all that stuff.
Right. Okay. Yep.
So now I'm just kind of building up my bank as much as I can in preparation of raids too.
Yep.
And I don't know if I should really talk about this yet because I'm still in the process. Some of these, so I've been doing a lot of flipping, or trying to do, not a lot, but some flipping in preparation of raids too, and there has been like some really weird shit going on with random items. Like I found items that I could put buy orders in for like 300 GP and then sell them for like 5k, and I would go to bed and buy like 1,000 of them and sell like 1,000 of them.
Wow. Okay. You gotta give us an example here. You can't just withhold this information.
Well, the example is literally what I'm doing.
So there's only one item.
Well, that's the main item. That's super weird. But like, I'm not flipping dueling rings. But like, imagine putting in a buy order for like 1,000 dueling rings for like 300 GP, and then you have 1,000 sell orders for like 5K. You know what I mean? And you just go to bed, wake up, and all those flips went through, and you're like, oh, what the fuck? That's so weird. And it got me thinking that the item I'm flipping, people have been botting. I've like there's bot farms that do this shit, and I think that like most bot farms just sell things for 1 GP. They go to the GE and just do like one GP, and then whatever, you know what I mean? They want it. I don't think the bot programs and stuff are like capable of like finding out the best margins for like what they're selling. I think they're just trying to quickly dump items and transfer the money off the accounts.
I could see that, because there's probably not some guy who's looking after like 100 bots who's going to take the time to be like, all right, let's lower the price of this item because this one's not selling, but it's sold to my other bots, but it's not selling on this one bot, so I'm going to go manually do it. So yeah, I think you're right, but them just selling it at 1 GP just to quickly offload that item.
Yeah, but in the process of that, dude, I made a couple mil like overnight flipping like these random items that like I'm like, bots have been, bots make these and they might be useful for raids too. No one really knows yet.
Yeah, possibly, because I know there is one specific item that I've seen been going up in price. Iron ore. 1 month ago, on the 5th of May, it was selling for 113 GP each. And then on May 21st, the price just skyrocketed. And like right now, it's selling for 182. So it's almost doubled.
So here's the thing. I've come to realize that I've always assumed that the reason why items fluctuate at such a weird rate was because of bots. Mm-hmm. But it's gotta be because of 100% merchant clans. 100%. There was a time this week where prayer potions were more expensive than restores.
Yeah,
That's so weird. That is so weird. I went to go buy some and I like put in a buy order and I'm like, wait a minute. These are going for 10.2K now, and I like go and I just buy a bunch of restores at 10K.
Yeah, because you're gonna get more prayer back from the restores.
Yeah, and you can, it restores your stats too, so you can brew and whatnot.
See, for that specific example, because I've noticed that as well, I always thought it was just a bunch of people were training their herb lore, and they just wanted to get rid of the super restores, so they were okay to selling it at a loss, whereas Ranars, or the prayer potions, are a little bit of a lower level, and are going to net you less experience than the super restores. So then the prayer potions just, you know what I mean? They're just blasted at a high price. I don't know.
I mean, to my knowledge, most people do things like super strengths and whatnot. I know that's a really common thing to make, and super attacks as well.
Yeah. I mean, personally, I just I do some NMZ herb boxes, which if you've trained in NMZ and you have a bunch of points left over, go back there like once a day and buy your 15 boxes, because that's like 150 herbs you can get a day. You're going to get a bunch of the shitty ones, but you also get a handful of good ones. And I do my farm runs, and then I also collect like any herb above Harlander. And then I make those into potions and I sell those. So you know what I mean? Like,
yeah, I mean, I'm the opposite. I just save a bunch of money, take a hit, but I get it done in like a day. Even though I marathon fucking 13 hours straight of herb lore to get to 90. That's just how I am. Dude, I barely do my dailies.
That's fine. I slow down too.
I'm lazy. Yeah, I had like super like weird week when it came to like drops and stuff. I got like a lot of money through PVMing. There's honestly probably some drops that I'm like completely forgetting, but like I did a lot of bossing this week and like a shit ton of Slayer. So right now I have 10.4 mil Slayer experience. I'm 300k away from 97. So hopefully I can get 98 before Raids 2 come out. It's my goal.
Okay, what was your Slayer again? Sorry?
It is 10.4 mil, level 96 right now. I'm like 400k away from 97.
10.4 what?
Mil.
No, but 10.4... Let's get into specifics here.
Okay, 10,300,099,653.
Woo! Still beating you, baby.
Are you really? By how much, though?
By like 80k.
Oh, yeah. Well, I'll pass you. It's okay. It's okay.
I don't know. Well, yeah, anyways.
Yeah, yeah, super weird. Fuck. Oh, I went ahead and just spent the day doing all my diaries. So I have every up to like hard. I have no elites done, but I have everything up to hard completed.
That's always good to do.
Yeah, it was about time. It was really annoying, but I got it done at least.
My advice for like people who like run out of things to do on old school RuneScape, or they don't have a specific goal to grind for, I always just say, just go do some diaries, because it has a bunch of perks that you might not necessarily think are useful, but you bang them out and you get those rewards from the diaries up to whatever you can. And like, you'd be surprised by how often you're busting out that Artie cloak to do teleport. You know what I mean? Or you're busting out the Falador shield.
Yeah.
Like the odd item. Plus there's like other benefits from it too.
If your taskmaster is Duradel, get the Cram Jahard done, the gloves teleport you to the gem mine in Shiloh Village.
Right, that's what I need to do. I got all my hards done except for Ardone. I'm only got my medium done. I forget why. It's probably because of one of the dragon shields. That's probably it. And then also my Karamja, I don't have any of them finished.
Honestly, probably a bunch that I'm missing, but I don't really know. Week's been a blur of just like powering Slayer as much as I can and doing as much bossing as possible.
Notice I had a higher level than you and you just started to gun away.
Yeah, I think that's it for me. What'd you do this week?
Well, before we move on to my week, I do want to touch back to when you're talking about merching, because there's something that I noticed when it comes to some content creators, like YouTubers, only a handful of them, but I'll see them on the sidebar, like the recommendations when I'm watching other YouTube videos, and I'll check it out, and seems to be this theme of a video where some YouTubers talking about the OSRS economy, and they're talking about like the markets and stuff like that, the items that are going to be great to buy in and when to sell them. You know what I mean? It's like it's kind of like advice on flipping for the most part.
Okay.
If you do come across those videos, I wouldn't necessarily trust them, because a lot of the times it seems like they have a bunch of an item and they're trying to manipulate the market a little bit so that they can offload their items.
There's a YouTuber who I won't name, has been accused of doing this a lot. He'll make a video saying these will go up in price because of this, and then like a week or 2 weeks later, he's like, yo, I just made 80 mil on this item. Told you guys. And then you find out it's his fan base buying that item. And you're like, oh, fuck. That's really common, though. Do you remember they banned merchant clans for that exact same reason? If you remember back in RS3, there was like merchant clans, and what would happen is it's kind of like a pyramid scheme type thing, or like something similar to where, let's say I'm like, yo, Wild Boys, let's buy diamonds at this price, and then we're going to buy them for a month straight, and then we're going to sell them at this price. But I already have the diamonds stocked up, so I buy them even cheaper. You guys keep buying diamonds, and you raise the price up for a bit, and then I dump just before you guys dump, and someone in the end is holding a bunch of useless like diamonds that are like, you know what I mean, where they've lost a fuck ton of money.
Yeah.
Like, that was super common, and like, it's actually a really good way to like make money, is to manipulate like a couple thousand people to make the profits for you, or to like manipulate for you. It still happens in old school RS, but it's all in Discords now. There's special little Discords that you can join for flipping.
Yeah, always be careful. For the most part, if somebody has a crazy item they're flipping and they are making a lot of money off of it, they're not going to tell you until afterwards.
Yeah.
Once they're done flipping it, they might let you know what happened. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah. I learned like all my little flipping techniques from Black Desert Online, and wow. And there's literally short-term and long-term flips, where like short-term are items that are really cheap that people buy a lot of it like in bulk, and you just put in and you make like 2-3 GP per item. You know what I mean? Yeah. So but you buy a lot of them, so like you would like Zalra scales. I mean, Zalra scales have gone up a lot. I'm not saying flip those, but it's just like a random thing, or like iron arrows, fire runes, that type of stuff.
Yeah.
And then there's long-term flips where you're buying up, you're like, Cook Sharks hit 600 GP. Last time that happened, they went up to 680. Well, actually, they went up to like 750. That's what I did with like around the Vorkath update. So I went and bought a couple 100,000 of them, sat on them for like a month and a bit, and then boom, flipped, made a bunch of money.
Oh,
or you would do it with like items, right? You would do it with like whips or like Kraken tentacles, right? Like, these are so cheap right now. They have to do something to make them more expensive. So you have a bunch saved up for months. They come up with an update. A lot of the time, it's like if you do those types of like long-term flips, you kind of have to watch all the Q&As, if you watch like the Q&As and like the little special Jagex streams, they'll talk about an item and then you watch the GE trackers and those items go up because there's people that like watch them specifically to find out what to flip. And yeah, a lot of it's just understanding the game, how the updates come out.
Remember those Ranger gloves when they were going to be used for the Rev K Van Braces, I think it was? Or maybe it was Theater
or
of Blood.
That one guy that bought hundreds of thousands of Aram staffs and memed about how shitty they were, and then the community started pushing for an Aram staff update. Do you remember that?
Yeah, we talked about it because afterwards, which is kind of cool of him, he came back and he said, "Hey, I was able to manipulate the subreddit into basically."
He made a couple bill. Imagine, last time I saw a picture of like 153,000 or something staffs that he bought at elk price, like 40K, and then he sold like most of them between like 180 to 250K.
I remember he came out and said he never actually had that much, but he still had like 15,000. Like he had a lot. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
But he came back.
I guess he's photoshopping, or maybe I just misremembering.
Yeah, but that in itself was part of the memes he used to influence the update, because he came back afterwards, made a post about how many he had, and then he showed all the posts he made making fun of how shitty the Aram staff was. And each of those posts, he did like 10 of them, and like 75% of them went to the front page. Yep. And eventually he's like, yeah, I made a shit ton of money, like unreal amount of money from it.
Yep.
Yes. Yeah. If you're interested in merching, try to find your own item. The way I would always do it is trying to find an item that's people might not necessarily think about. Like when I first got into the game way back, maybe this was like 2 years back, I tried merching God armor sets, the rune trimmed armors.
Yep.
It was okay. I used to make like 50K. It was all right. It's not great if you're looking for like a shit ton of profit from merching.
You know what I did for the longest time? And then I'm only saying this now because it just doesn't work anymore. Every time I try, it just doesn't work, or I look for the margins.
Yeah.
I used to buy proselyte sets at the Faldor Park for like 20 or 25K, and I could sell them for like 40K plus. And so like when I was doing my big skilling grind back like a year and a bit ago, I would go ahead and get like 8 mil worth of that shit and then put them up, and I just make so much money when I was AFK skilling. People catch on, and people don't understand undercutting. So instead of undercutting you 1 GP, they'll undercut you 5 or 6K.
Yeah.
And they just kill margins. There was an item I was flipping this week, and someone had been flipping it before me, and I know this because let's just say, hypothetically, I'm flipping dueling rings I'm buying them for like 200 GP, and I'm selling them for 5K. Obviously, that's not the right item because they don't go for that much. But let's just say I'm using dueling rings. What kept happening was somebody would put in a buy order for like 50 dueling rings at like 4,800. Yeah. So then what that does is you go, fuck, these margins are super shit. And then you just stop flipping it. And that's what I would do. I'd wait like 5-6 hours and I'd go check again. And then it's back to what like I was originally doing.
Yeah. Okay,
and you can tell when one of your items buy and sell. You're like, oh God, someone's looking for the margins on my item. And then you see the items like profit margin just like completely flip backwards. You're like, hey, this guy's trying to push me off this. It's kind of a fun game, but it's also super nail biting where I'm like doing Dagonoth Kings and I just see one item buy and sell. And I'm like, for fuck, now I gotta leave this task. And I gotta go make sure my item's not being fucked with.
Yeah.
Just leave me alone, whoever that is. God damn it.
It's kind of nice because you're making money while you're doing something else to make money, but at the same time, it is kind of annoying to have to stop and go to the GE every time, like in between every Dagonoth run. You know what I mean? You go back to the bank, I gotta check the GE real quick.
There's like passive and active income. I think I talked about it in the past. But if you're trying to like min-max your money, you want to always be doing your dailies and you always want to be doing your farm, your herb runs and flipping, because that's like technically passive income, like doing your herb runs, because, you know, every 4 hours you go and collect it and replant or however long it is. But you could be bossing while making money on other things like, yeah, your dailies, your herb runs, your flips. And I know, like, I don't always merchant shit and I don't do my dailies. I don't really care too much about that. If I'm like really trying to power my cash stack up, then I start doing it. But it kind of makes the game less fun. It makes it more of like, I need money as opposed to I want to play RuneScape.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. But if you're interested in merching or trying to find it out, first things first, be prepared to lose a little bit of money. You know, because it's going to take some time to kind of figure things out. But the way I would do it is I'd go I'd look for an item that I thought might be able to be merchable, search in the GE, and then I would buy it at like, the percentage, like the 5% button. I'd increase it by 5%, like 3 or 4 times. And then I would buy it, and then I would sell it, and I would do the negative 5%, do that 3 or 4 times. And that's kind of like the margin you can sort of work between. It's like an easy way of gauging what things are buying and selling for at their lowest and highest.
I mean, there are little tricks that have been consistent since ever, pretty much, such as buying fire rune packs at a mage shop, because I think you can sell them for 5 GP each. Eventually, they're not insta sells. Maybe it's 5 or 6. I don't really know. But you can buy them for 4 at magic shops, and you can also buy death runes too. So you can make money by just doing that. If you have no like stats, you can make like a couple 100K an hour doing that. You can flip like arrows and stuff, but so many people do it that like you kind of have to wait a little bit, but you can flip in high volumes, and you only make like 20K or something, right?
Yeah, exactly.
You don't make much. It's a lot safer than say buying like dragon full helms and waiting on them to go up in price. I mean, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'm just thinking of like a random item to sit on. I have no idea. I'm not the biggest fan of like holding items for a long time because I get really stressed out about it, and I'm constantly checking the GE trackers and stuff to see how those items are doing.
Yeah, I have a bunch of one stack of item in my bank that I kind of spilled the beans on a few episodes back that I'm hoping they do something to make them go up in value, but they probably won't.
Yeah, I mean, I'll be the first one to admit it. I have like 10,000 goblin mails in my bank.
Holy fuck.
I have 10,517, I think.
You're just waiting for that new goblin, like, so that you can wear the goblin mail.
Yeah. I kind of started collecting them as a joke, but then I also, like, I could always flip them. I was buying them for super cheap, and I think I have some more hidden on some other accounts. I, like, have them in the GE to sell, but I know they're not going to sell. I just kind of keep them because it's, like, I just like having a lot of goblin mail.
Sure.
But you never know, right? Maybe you can attach it to, like, a new crystal, and now you can... Maybe there's going to be a quest where you need it to wear it, and then it's like, oh, fuck, they're 800 each? Damn. I just kind of like a meme type thing. I just kind of bought a bunch just cause. It took me like over 2 months to buy all of them too.
Holy shit.
Yeah, I had like multiple accounts with buy orders, and I just let it sit for a really long time.
The item that I'm hoarding right now that I'm hoping they are going to update is pearl bolt tips. I've talked about it before, but they're pretty cheap-ish. Actually, I might have bought them for more than what they're currently worth, so I might have fucked things up for myself. But I'm hoping that they kind of talked about like months ago that they want to rework some of the way the bolt, like the way some of the crossbow bolts, their effects work, because there's a bunch of low-end bolt tips that do some cool things, but they're not really used too much. Like, one of them is a stun. One of them does extra damage against water or against fire monsters, stuff like that. So I got a bunch of pearl bolt tips because I figured that one's kind of hard to go out and like get. You kind of have to get oysters, open them up. Hopefully they have pearls in it.
Vorkath? Vorkath's opal, right?
Maybe. But yeah, most of the bolt tips come from gems, whereas the pearl come from oysters, which you can get from, I guess, fishing, or you can get it from Dagonoths.
Mm-hmm.
But anyways, I do not recommend in trying to merch that one because there's a good chance you're going to lose a lot of money, which I think I'm going to be losing a bunch of money on. What's going to happen is 4 years is going to go by. I'm going to realize they're still in my bank and they're like worth like 1 GP each now. And I'm like, I guess that update never came.
Yeah, just hold on to it for the memes.
I guess so. Anyways, enough of that merching talk. I'll tell you about my week. So last week, like right after we finished recording, I went out and played some tennis and ended up throwing out my back somehow. Just probably picking up a tennis ball, which would sound right. Anyways, I'm pretty sure that's a sign from the gods that I shouldn't be leaving my basement.
Mm-hmm.
Ended up calling in sick to work the next day and just kind of stayed home. At the end of the day, my partner that I work with kind of gave me a call. And he was saying at the end of the workday, he was talking to our boss, and he was mentioning how he was going to go home and like play some PlayStation 4 and just kind of game out for the rest of the night. And then the boss started talking like, "Oh, what kind of games do you play?" And he's like, "Oh, whatever,
Fortnite."
Yeah, Fortnite only. And then he was like, "Oh, do you game?" To our boss, and he's like, "Yeah, I play RuneScape." I don't actually know how this conversation went down, but he ended up saying that he plays old school RuneScape for some reason. Yeah, so he called me to tell me that because he knows I play that game. And yeah, I was kind of like, no way. That's kind of fucking crazy. That's either a really good thing or a terrible thing.
Dude, you gotta find out if he's a noob or not, and then you just like carry him on some raids, take him on some bossing, and then boom.
What happens when he fucking scams me for a T-bow?
Beat him up at work. What do you mean?
Yeah, okay.
Okay, no, this is what you do. You be like, man, it's okay, dude. Like, you need the money. It's fine. Wait till mobile comes out, steal his phone, log into his account, just give it to you. Just drop all of his shit. Just take his phone and it'll auto log in.
This is true.
Dude, let's pull off a big heist. Oh shit, I don't have any service. Can I use your phone, boss? You just fucking run. You got a solid 50 seconds. Just start running down site. Get into your car, drive off.
I do have like 20 basements I can hide in.
Get your work buddy, like pin him down while you take his phone and you just like drop trade everything to you.
You know, that's a good plan. What I'm more worried about is like if I call in sick because Theater of Blood's coming out and he's like, he ain't calling in sick for shit. That, or if I'm at work that day and he's searching me on Crystal Math Labs and seeing, so Dylan, you were working all today, right? So first off, none of your work got done. And I noticed here that you got 150k Slayer experience. So you want to explain yourself?
Sir, I bought. Tell him you're a serial botter.
Yeah. You know the botting crisis we have right now in the game? Yeah, hate to say it, but that's all me.
That is all me, baby.
So yeah, it could either be really good or really bad. But anyways, I wanted to go talk to him about it, but I figured I'd like lay it low. I'd kind of feel it out a bit. Also, I got in trouble the next day for whatever reason, and I just didn't feel like it was appropriate.
Yeah.
So, yeah, thought that was kind of weird.
So what you have to do is you have to like, oh, sorry, I have a phone call. Wait, what? Why do I have this? Hey, what's up, man? No, I'm at work. I can't play old school RuneScape right now. Like, look at your boss. Just kind of stare at him. Yeah, I know I have a mobile. I have the mobile invite, but I'm at work. I can't mess around. Okay, man, I'll talk to you. We'll play old school RuneScape tonight.
Sorry, I just got a phone call. Hey, Jagex, how's it going?
Mod Ash, you gotta stop calling me, dude.
I told you I can't come work for you guys. I really love the job that I'm doing right now myself.
I'm a very dedicated worker, and I take my job very serious.
You're gonna pay me how much?
Dude, what happens if he's been listening to this podcast the whole time?
That's the thing. I'm gonna just fucking come into his office, can be playing on his phone. I'm gonna be like, huh.
Hey guys, how's it going? Oh my god, fuck. Oh shit. He's listening to it.
What kind of shitty podcast are you listening to? Anyways, a little bit of a weird scenario, but we'll see how she plays out. I'll keep you all updated. Anyways, fast forward throughout the week to today. I fucking was working on my deck this weekend and end up hurting my back again. So I really don't think I should be leaving this basement.
Are you using your back to pick up shit?
Yeah, I'm trying to build those back muscles by doing a lot of twisting. I mean, a lot.
Jerking, twisting motions?
Yeah, like all the time. Even for things that I don't necessarily have to.
Pick up a pencil, stiff those legs up, and just put all the strain in your lower back. That's the key.
Anyways, I'm excited for this week because I do got the week off, so I can get some good gains going on. I can get some Theater of Blood prepped, hopefully. But yeah, I've been doing a fair bit of raiding, like solo raids, which has been quite the experience. It's pretty fun. I definitely recommend that if you're kind of around that end game level to give them an attempt. It is going to be a learning process. The first couple of times that you're going to do it are going to be very painful and quite long, but you eventually just kind of figure things out and you get a feel for everything, and it becomes like it's a lot of fun. It's really, I don't know, it's like a 20-minute fight at the end. Like the last boss, the Great Kourend, it's like a 15 to 20-minute fight. It feels like, at least. But the whole time you have to focus like so hard, and you're constantly doing things. It's not like you can stop and like
wait until you. Sorry, go.
I was gonna say you can't stop and like if let's say you're eating your dinner, you can't stop and take a quick bite of something. You never have time to do that.
hey man, if you ever watch my streams, you'll hear the classic, oh, my hands are on my keyboard, fuck.
Yeah.
I'll be like fucking with some shit, and then he'll shoot like an overhead at me, and I have to like, you just hear like, and I have to like stumbling to try and like get the right overhead breaks. I'm just like ADHDing, just like fucking with some, like playing with my phone for no goddamn reason.
Yep. I'll be going to take like a vape, and then is that a verb? Take a vape?
Take a vape. Hit my vape. I don't know.
Hit my vape.
To vape nage.
Yeah. Juice it up in here. I don't even know. Anyways,
Yeah.
I'll be doing that, and then I'll just like something will happen, and I'll just have to like spit it out of my mouth. It is a bit stressful, but it's fun. I'm enjoying myself pretty well there. I still get killed at least one time when I'm fighting the Great Olm, and it's usually because of stupid mistakes.
Yep.
Like one big problem that I keep encountering is
Ground spikes?
no, I'm actually gotten good at those ones.
I'm still bad at them. I still get hit by them.
My problem is that so there's 3 phases to Olm. You got to fight the 2 hands for the first 2 phases. One's a melee hand, one's a magic hand. So you take those out, and then each time you take those out, he switches to the other side. You do it again, and then he switches to for the third time to the other side. And you can't just kill the hands one at a time. You got to kill them in like 10 seconds.
Yeah, there's a window. If you ever like, they're like Vanguards maybe. No,
Yeah.
not Vanguards. Maybe like Rookie Sun and WoW Mop. If you ever played that trash expansion, you just have to kill them at the same time.
And if you don't, they both respawn, and they have quite a bit of health, and it just really fucks your day up.
Yep.
So my problem is, I bring them down to I aim for like 7%. What do you aim for? What percentage of the hands?
5 and lower.
5 and lower. Okay. Well,
Yeah. So if you're using a Hastar or a
whip.
Tentacle.
Yep.
What I always do is if I'm doing it like if I'm not running the head, I get the melee, I focus on the melee hand, get it down to 5% or lower. But like if it's at 5, I stop because I'm pretty sure you can max 5% or a little bit over 5. And then I mage the hand because sometimes you just splash like 80 times in a row.
Mm-hmm.
So then I mage the hand, and if I somehow get the mage hand down to like 0.1, like if I get down to like 1% or some shit, then I'll go back on the melee hand and try and bring it down. And then I usually try and play it safe to make sure. So like I'll just say this, in the last phase, the melee hand can go in this like mode where it can heal when you do damage. And if you kill the mage hand on a certain timing, you can't avoid like, normally if the hand's healing and you kill the mage hand, it stops healing or going through that healing phase where you can actually start doing damage to it now. But if you like kill the mage while it's like about to start, sometimes it just fucks up and it just, that starts happening where you can't do damage without healing it. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So I try to make sure like I don't fucking do that because I do that a couple times and then, you got to kill the hand again. But
When the hands come up, I know I'm going to be dead because I ran out of supplies.
true.
It's such a long process that I run out of supplies in the last phase. And the thing is, you don't get extra points for doing damage to the respawning of the hands.
Nope.
Which is it's such a piss off. Anyways,
Yeah, it's to prevent boosting and stuff.
which it makes sense, but if you're me
Yep.
and you get fucked by that, then you're just like, great, I'm not going to be hitting that 21,000 points that you're trying to hit for.
Go for 5%. If you're running the head and you're using like a God Sword or an Elder Maul, I get the Mage Hand to 5, and then I kill the melee and go to the Mage Hand because you can randomly smack like a 60 and shit, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, I go for 5%, I would say. Kill the Mage Hand first and the melee hand. And once you get a Warhammer, you'll be like, oh, this is why Deegan says to focus on getting a Warhammer first. It makes such a big difference.
Interesting. Okay.
Because even if you hit a 0, it does a little bit of damage reduction or defense reduction. It's not a lot, tiny amount, but it still does something. Only in raids though.
Yeah.
Doesn't work on every boss, just the raids.
Pretty cool.
And the BGS is also, you spec a BGS like 5, and you're like, that's pretty much nothing. I did nothing with that. Like, if you BGS spec, you kind of want to max hit with it.
Yeah.
To get a good effect.
That is nice, but yeah, I'm at about 12 kill count right now.
Honestly, you should just try and learn to run the head ASAP. I regret waiting till 300 kill count, because like now when I do it, I'm practicing running the head in a solo, and if I just started as soon, because I've done the majority of my raids have been solos, and if I just started doing like the running the head method ASAP, I'd have it down. The issue in the beginning is like when I first started, I had no idea why it wasn't working. But then eventually, like now, if I mess up, I know I messed up before I get attacked. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Because when you're running the head, if you're using a god sword and you're running like the melee hand and whatever, because if you use the whip, you take damage like whatever. It doesn't matter. You'll get used to it and understand when you messed up, so you can kind of prepare for like whatever, a teleport or something.
Mm-hmm.
But a lot of it is muscle memory because you have to like click on the right tick. You have to be like perfect. You can't fuck up at all. There's no, like, you make a tiny mistake, now you're like tanking damage from him, which is bad.
Sure.
But if you start learning ASAP, like even if you're like still learning the boss in general, you're kind of...
I'm going to take it one step at a time because I don't want to overwhelm myself.
I thought the same thing. As soon as you kind of know, like, okay, these mechanics are linked to the melee hand. These mechanics are not linked to the melee hand.
Yeah.
As soon as you know that, you're like, you might as well just start running the head because, like, that's what I should have done. I should have just stuck with it, bite the bullet, like, spend a couple hours just figuring it out, getting used to it, and then practicing and getting the muscle memory.
Mm-hmm.
Because in the long run, by the time you hit, like, if you run the head, like, 50 times in a row, you'll be able to do 0 death raids. As opposed to, like, I've done every single one of my solo raids, I've had to die once the suicide supply's in.
Yeah. Yeah, I did.
And that's losing, like, a whole percent at minimum. Or minimum 1% of, like, the rare drop table I'm losing.
Yeah, and I think you're aiming for, like, what, 3%?
If you suicide once, you will get 3 to almost 4%.
Okay.
But if you don't suicide, you'll be getting over 4%. So that turns, like, every 33 raids to 25, or, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
To expect a unique, which, like, after, like, 500 raids or something, like, it really adds up.
For sure.
And you also save a lot of time, too. You save so much time on your raids.
Yeah, okay.
You'll be cranking 40-minute raids consistently.
Not bad. Maybe I'll take a look into that. It's a lot of fun, though. I do enjoy it. They take a little bit long, so I got to make sure I have the time available. And I also have to make sure that by the time I get to Ulm, I'm not getting sleepy, because that's when I start making a lot of mistakes.
Yep.
But it's good. It's tough. It really feels like what a lot of people who don't play Old School RuneScape make fun of Old School RuneScape for. You know what I mean? Like, Ulm is the exact opposite of that, where, like, the combat's super simplistic. There's not many mechanics in boss fights, whereas that fight, it's just, like, raining mechanics, quite literally sometimes.
Mm-hmm. That was good. That was a good pun / reference.
Hell yeah.
See, the joke there, guys, is that there's, like, raining rocks through transition phases, and the last phase, there's things that literally rain down on you. Kind of ruined the joke explaining it, but I feel like I had to.
No, it's okay.
It's good. It was a good one.
I appreciate it.
So
besides that, not a whole lot. I started doing a little bit of Slayer because I'm trying to keep ahead of you.
Yep. I don't know if you can beat the Neat Life, though.
The Neat Life?
Neat Life. NEET.
I don't get it.
Never mind.
Okay.
I'm just saying never mind. Yeah, we'll move on.
Although on Monday, when I did have my day off, you and we did a bunch of things. Like, we did, we did some raids and some bandos, but we also practiced some tri-breeding at Clan Wars with a couple other people.
Mm-hmm. Little Carol's DHing too?
Yeah, a bunch of different PKing. It really reminded me on how bad I am at PKing for the most part.
Yeah, I think the big issue is every time I practice, I'm in salads.
Yeah.
So sometimes you just sit there and you splash 8 times in a row on someone. I'm like, look, what the fuck? Why can't I hit a fucking freeze? This is bullshit.
It's tough, and it makes you appreciate how some of the more skilled tri-breeders, like how well they actually are at it. Because there's so much you're having to look at and all these different clicks, and really, you misclick and it really fucks your day.
Yeah.
That's about it. And this week, for what I did on mobile, because I said I'm going to touch on a few things that I did kind of each week, and I'm going to touch on a couple things that I did each week on my mobile and the pros and cons. So I guess I'll just pick 3 certain tasks that I did, which was, I've talked about this before, but cooking a lot. That's a super easy thing to do on mobile. You can't really go wrong with that. There's really not many cons to it besides you're kind of playing on mobile, so it's kind of boring, but it's kind of AFK, and the only problem is if you're minimizing or closing your bank screen, sometimes you'll just click to walk somewhere. It's very minor though. It's super whatever. Did a bunch of herb lore, which is, I probably talked about this already as well, but it's super easy on mobile because you can set it to make it so when you just press on it, you withdraw 14, which just makes, making potions really, really easy.
It makes it so, like, I'm going to do some herb lore. Let me log off my computer. Let me go lay down on the couch, put on some Netflix.
A little bit.
Bust up my phone. Like, when mobile becomes public, or I get into the goddamn beta for once.
One day.
That's what I'd be doing. Just do all my skilling while I lay in bed.
Yeah, and, like, some of it is really easy to do. In herb lore, I almost want to say it's easier on mobile. The only problem is, there's things like, let's say you have a bunch of unfinished potions, and you have a bunch of different kinds. Unless you know what order you put them in, or you know what they look like, it's kind of a pain in the ass to have to press and hold to get that drop-down menu pop up to see what the actual potion is.
I mean, whenever I'm cranking out a skill, let's say you're, like, you're fletching, you're stringing bows, I, like, have a specific tab where I put a bunch of placeholders, and then I move the items in, like a little, like, in a certain order that I like, just so I know, I keep all my items that I'm using for that certain skill. So, like, if I'm making, like, prayer pots, I'd have, like, the unfinished Renars in, like, a way where all you can see are the, like, bank filler spots, those red filler things.
Yeah.
The unfinished, and then, like, the snapdragons, and they're just together near the bottom of the bank, so I can quickly, like, hit deposit all, and then bring those out quickly. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I, like, specifically pull them away from every item possible, just to kind of keep it clean.
Yeah, and you won't have that problem of not knowing what your actual potion is. It just makes it easier to just be able to click on them real quick on mobile.
Yeah.
Yeah, that one, I do hope they kind of bring that interface to the PC version, because we talked about it before, and Jagex talked about it before, where they don't ever want to bring an update to just mobile that'll benefit it'll benefit mobile but not benefit the PC client.
Yep.
It's a bit controversial because I know some of the high-end skilling communities do not want skilling to be easier on the PC version. You know what I mean? Like, if you could just click with your mouse and withdraw 14, I'm sure we'd be seeing some people upset about that.
Yeah, but it's kind of like you can't please everyone, because if you don't do that, then people go, well, fuck, I don't want to like the EHP for Herblore or something to go on mobile. That is stupid,
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
There's always going to be someone complaining. They can't truly win.
So unfortunately, with some of the high-level skilling communities, they are quite vocal and fairly recognized by the JMods, so it's kind of like an ongoing battle, you know what I mean?
Yeah, when there's a dedicated clan to people who have spent like 6,000 hours in-game.
Yeah.
And they have like, a couple thousand EHP, like efficient hours played, and with one update, it pretty much takes out 300 hours out of their EHP.
Mm-hmm.
That, like, I could understand why they get mad, because, like, they value efficiently playing for hours, and then it's like, well, I lost 300 hours of my life because, well, not lost, wasted, because I decided to do the skill first.
Yeah.
Keep in mind, these people take the game, like, much more serious than, like, the average person.
Mm-hmm.
Where, like, their goal is to get 200 mil experience and everything.
Whereas most people are just, like, they struggle to get 13 mil to get level 99.
They're like, I got a fucking 99 fire making. Yeah,
it's like
buddy.
Me, where, like, getting to 99, you're just like, holy shit, I'm finally there. Now, if you look at that between getting 200 mil, you're like just over 10%. You're 13% to 200 mil, right? Or not 13%, sorry. You're just like 7%.
Yeah.
Even lower. So that's just it's a steep hill to climb.
But you do unlock the, you now can hit the true EHP rates to 200 mil. You do have max your combat out. Boom, you get the best experience per hour doing whatever.
And if I'm not mistaken, your chances of getting a pet after 200 mil they get doubled.
Wait, you mean after 13?
No, 200. I'm pretty sure it's 200 mil. When you get 200 mil experience, the pet rate for like wood cutting drops down.
Oh, really? Really? That's cool.
It's cool, although I do think it should be 99 because most people don't want to get, you know what I mean? Like, most people will get to 99, and if they don't have the pet by then, they're just like, oh, well.
The way the pets are geared for, typically, you would be getting post 99. So, Let's say you want to get the Chinchompa pet, but you don't want to go and hunt like black chins. You want to do red chins. You have to catch 300 and like I'm rounding up, but 329,000 red chins, which nets you 87.1 mil experience. You know, like they've made the pets for people to have something to grind for post 99. That's the whole concept of pets.
Yeah, I guess so.
I mean, shit, you make 500 mil in the process on average doing red chins for a pet, but
yeah,
you're also catching way too many chins.
Yeah, that is true. But anyways, the last thing that I guess I'll talk about that I did was farming on mobile. And I feel like for maybe the average person, farming might be perfect to do on mobile because you can easily do it on your breaks. You can easily jump in, you know, let's say you're on the bus for like 20 minutes. You can jump in and do a herb run and then you get off and then let's say you finish work and you're coming home, jump on, your herbs are done again. You jump on and do it again.
Some stinky bum sits next to you.
Yeah.
You can just stop what you're doing, move, sit down and continue.
Yeah, exactly. And like since farming, you're on a timer anyways. You know what I mean? Like having that time in between of doing this task.
Yep.
It's just, I don't know. I found it super easy. I try to do it on my breaks, or sometimes I would like get started on my 15-minute break and then I'd finish it at lunchtime and then I'd do it again like maybe right after work, you know, when you're driving on the way home. I'm just kidding. Don't do that when you're driving. Don't play old school RuneScape while you're driving.
Doing some solo raids while you're driving?
Yeah. But yeah, it's pretty easy. Kind of navigating around can be kind of a pain in the ass because clicking on things can, just because the way mobile is, it's not going to be as easy as on the computer. Nothing you can do about that. But the problem also is if you're out there in the real world and you get a little bit of lag right after you harvested some herbs, you might get weeds. You might get some weeds pop up. And if you're like me and you don't have any rakes with the leprechaun, you don't bring any with you, and
teeth farming, dude. No more weeds.
Yeah, I know, but that's such a pain in the ass to do. What I ended up doing was just like trading like 2 Ranar herbs to borrow somebody's rake, and then I'd give it back to them. But yeah, that's a little bit of a pain in the ass. Also, if you accidentally clean one of the herbs while you're trying to note it from the leprechaun, bit of a pain in the ass because now you got 2 fucking stacks to worry about.
Well, why don't you just clean them and then note them?
I like to keep them all grimy, leave them in my bank, and then when I do herb lore, I clean them, put them into the potions. See, what I like to do, now this is just me specifically, I take my grimy herbs, I look at how much herb lore experience I have, I clean all the herbs, and then I see how much experience that gave me, and then I make all the potions. 300
experience for carpal tunnel in 20 minutes? That is sick.
Fucking right.
All right, now let me go to, what is it, Waterbirth Isle, and go pick up a bunch of snapdragons.
Yeah.
Or snape grass, sorry, not dragons.
I think for the most part, that's about it. I'm at 85 cooking now. Like I said, I've been doing cooking while I'm at work and stuff like that. I think that's basically all the gains I got this week. It's not a whole lot, but I'm just kind of doing some Slayer, doing some raids, all that good stuff.
Decent.
Yeah, pretty decent. Anyways, let's move it on to the news.
Yeah, so there isn't too much to talk about. They just did some little tweaks to the SLEP. Some mobile tweaks, and I guess we can talk about the playtest. Did we talk about the playtest already?
I'm so confused. The playtest. Oh,
for Theater of Blood. They fix up some things within SLEP, like a lot of random ass things. I don't really want to go into detail in all of them, but they like made some choppable hollow trees. They like, I don't know, they changed like a lot of like little random things. Like the bell in the SLEP didn't have examine text. Weird stuff. Whatever. Bunch of little random things. So like, they also made a change to seaweed spores being sold in the Marin's Market, I think on Fossil Island, from 50 tiers to 20.
Okay.
So that might be notable. I guess if you're like an Iron Man or you're a masochist and you're doing that underwater shit for seaweed spores. The jeweled crabs in Chamber of Xeric didn't always give the correct points, so they went and fixed that.
Cool.
Yeah, they made some mobile changes, I guess. So the small safe zone around the mini-map has been added to prevent misclicks. The tapping of your stats in the stats menu now brings up experience tooltip instead of a skill guide, and the guide is now accessed from a long click.
That's super nice.
You can cap your FPS at 15, 20, or 30 if you choose. Perfect. In the game control settings. I believe there's a bug where you can't use your quick prayers when you close your mini map now, though, on mobile.
I don't know.
I saw that posted on the subreddit, so yeah, hopefully that gets fixed.
Cool.
Yeah, they're missing some like RAM shit. I don't really want to go on all the slep stuff because it's all like silly little mistakes, and I'll just complain how dumb Jagex is. Not really, but you know what I mean.
Yeah.
Forgetting exam text and stuff.
But it does say here at the bottom that on Saturday, June the 16th at 8 p.m. BST and 3 p.m. EST, they will be doing a super secret stream where they're going to be using a secret new JMod tool. Whatever that means, who knows, but keep your eyes out if you're interested.
Yeah.
In watching that in the flesh.
Yeah.
I guess lastly for this little section is they've tweaked, I guess, the challenge mode leaderboards. So they have now week 2 out. We talked last episode, or I should say you mentioned it, that the raid seems to be the same every single week. Although on the leaderboards on the website, it says week 1 is the initial release, and then it has, the top times for each of the brackets. Above that has week 2, the Tecton defense changes. And then it has all the people who are able to do it. So it kind of makes me wonder if, like, every week there's going to be something different, whether it's going to be some sort of change to one encounter or
I don't really think so. So I was kind of speculating that they're going to be changing the rotation of the rooms on challenge mode every week, but I guess not. We
just assumed. Like, that just seemed like the obvious thing to do.
Yeah, but that's too much work for the team isn't really big enough to do that.
I guess.
And then imagine having to tweak it every other week, right? Like changing, buffing, nerfing, then waiting a month or maybe 2 months to go back to that rotation. The Tecton did have way too high of a defense, so they had to nerf it. And then they said they would most likely tweak the times, and I guess they just finally did it. Because Tecton, it would turn in, if you're, going for an elapsed time and stuff, it would turn into everyone would spec, no one hit, okay, let's reset.
Yeah.
Everyone going spec, no hits, reset. Oh, we only got 1 hit. Let's see. Okay, now let's reset. But whatever. That's pretty much it for the updates, though. So not really much to talk about.
But yeah, we will move on to the Theater of Blood playtest. I talked about how one of the streamers made a YouTube video. So if you don't know, if you don't know, I shouldn't say just streamers, but a bunch of like content creators and people who are pretty good at PVMing got pulled down to Jagex HQ to give the raids a playtest. A YouTuber and streamer named Mr. Mammal made a video where he just kind of talked about some things about the Theater of Blood raid. He couldn't go into too much detail because they signed an NDA.
Yep.
And so, yeah, we did talk about that last week, but there's been kind of some updates to it as well. Some of the information that went about what happened when they went down.
Keep in mind, all these people that did the playtest, I don't know about Mammal, but I'm pretty sure everyone else has an Inferno cape. So when they say it was too easy, like these guys have an Inferno cape.
Let's talk about the playtest, what they talk about here, because I did watch the QA this week and they did talk about that actual playtest as well.
The feedback they got was that it was enjoyable, interesting, and unique, but it was not punishing enough.
Mm-hmm.
So they're rebalancing it to make it a little more challenging and to make sure it was okay.
Cool.
That's pretty much it. They just made it a little bit more challenging. It just kind of worries me that they're basing difficulty off people that are willing to sit there and pray flick nonstop for 2 hours.
Oh god, I hate pray flicking.
But like that's the issue, is that Inferno was supposed to be super challenging, and these people were able to sit there and pray flick for hours and hours and hours and keep cool and get their cape, Yeah. And so everything will feel too easy for them.
Yeah. It also says here that after they got the feedback from the original people who play tested it, which was Bodie, Wooks, Dead Wilson, MMORPGRS, Cloud Badass, Lake, Mr. Mammal, Dalek Cookie, Lucid Dreams, Reed, and Zulu, that they took the feedback from them, tweaked Theater of Blood, and then they brought the players that tested out
challenge modes.
And these players were 124426, Anti, Mabel, Classics, Dead Wilson, and Latias.
Yeah.
So they've gotten feedback from like 2 different groups. You know what I mean?
Yeah, they've tweaked it. They're happy with where it is. I'm pretty sure Latias, Dead Wilson have Inferno Capes. I could be wrong though. Yeah, like Latias is doing no pillar Inferno attempts in Void.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like, these guys are all really good. So hopefully Jagex understands that these people are really good. And like, I don't want... Okay, if the difficulty is mechanics and being able to like do shit and you have to do shit at certain times, I don't want the difficulty to be prey flicking, because that is just like muscle memory. It's not difficult. It's that you have to go and like go on Runelight, turn on Metronome, or go to the Mages Guild and watch the clocks and just sit there and like get used to prey flicking every 0.6 seconds. You know, you're just like,
yeah,
like you have to. I mean, I'm saying that like I can't do it super consistently. There's times where I can sit there and string I can do it properly. There's times where I just can't. Inconsistent, but I don't really actively practice it. But if that is like what the mechanics are for this Raids 2, I'm gonna be really disappointed.
Yeah, me too. Like, if there was one like mechanic that I wish that they would kind of fix that I don't think should really be in the game, it's basically prayer flicking. And I don't mean switching your prayers to like, you know, like with Olm, he'll shoot this red ball at you, which means, oh, you got to now pray melee. But I just mean like the quick, yeah, as you said, clicking it every 0.6 seconds.
Yeah. If you guys don't know, yeah, you can, if you click at the right timings on your quick prayers, you can pretty much have infinite prayer. You don't actually drain, because your prayer drains like a tiny bit every tick. So you can have it on and then like disable your prayer at the right time to like trick the game into thinking that you're not using it. It's kind of hard to explain.
It's a bug that turned into a mechanic.
Yeah, straight up.
Yeah, and I just don't like it because it's just tedious, and it's just, as you said, it's annoying. You need to have this like inner clock, and you have to be able to click on it, and some people just might not ever have that inner clock to be able to do that.
Well, it's all muscle memory. That's it.
It's that, and also, like, Cerberus has the prayer flicking where they have the 3 ghosts, and you gotta pray flick between magic, range, and melee. When we talked about this before when we both started doing Cerberus, but like, just the way RuneScape is, and since it's on a tick system, sometimes it's not super obvious when you should be switching your prayers. And it kind of, you just have to do the fight enough times to realize, oh, with Cerberus, you have to switch it as the guy's coming at you, you gotta switch to the next one. You know what I mean?
Like, the way, I don't know, you guys have probably noticed that RuneScape can feel really clunky, but when you watch Wooks, it looks really smooth. I don't know if you've ever watched Wook stream or do any PVM, anything. If you watch it, it looks like he's playing on like better internet. It looks like he's playing on better internet with like a better PC or super smooth. And a lot of that is your game clicks get registered on like the tick system. So like if there is a like repeating like door opening and closing that's like 0.6 seconds, you gotta click at like the right timings in that 0.6 seconds for it to like be quote unquote more responsive. It all comes out at the same time, but you know what I mean?
Yep.
It's all about playing around these small windows, so it's really awkward, and there are little tricks of like doing that, and that's something I've kind of noticed where, you know, if you're like trying to like run in between certain spots in the game, you have to click at like certain points within the tick to make it feel more responsive. It's kind of really hard to explain, but you probably know what I mean, where sometimes you'll click like something and your guy will not respond to it. Sometimes he'll instantly respond. It's just like the time that you click within like this door or window opening and closing. So the game does feel really clunky like that, but if you can get used to it and know when to like do it, and you're like clicking on the right timings within a tick, and you're not like you're not missing out on like any like quote unquote windows, it's kind of feels like a different game, and it's like more responsive. I don't know. It's kind of
a lot of it
hard
is
to
trial and
explain.
error too, because like it's just sometimes not super obvious on when you should have the prayer up. For my example, like the perfect example I'd point at is Zulrah. If you ever do Zulrah, there is a certain point in that fight. There's a certain point in that fight where Zulrah would do this. They call it the Jad phase, where he alternates between a magic attack and a ranged attack. So if you go into the first time, he'll shoot this like fireball in the air, and it moves kind of slowly. You would just assume that you need to keep Pray Mage up until that fireball hits you. If you do that, you're not going to survive that part of the fight. Because what you need to do is, as soon as that fireball's in the air, you need to switch it to range, because that's what he's going to be using next.
Yeah.
If you wait for the fireball to hit you, then like you're going to get hit from the ranged one, because you need to already have it on by the time he shoots it in the air.
Like the damage is calculated just before he shoots a fireball, so you have to have your prayer up before his animation starts.
Yeah, which going into the first time, that's not super obvious. You would think you need to keep magic up until it hits you.
Yeah, it's something that you'll pick up on. It's part of getting better at the PVM experience, is understanding when damage is calculated between monsters, and there's things that like Aberrant Spectres feel kind of clunky to pray flick against, because like you would expect, it's the same thing, right? You'd expect the damage to you expect to flick before they hit you, not before they do their little chargey move. They're like, I don't know. It's all like just kind of familiarizing with like game mechanics, I guess.
It's all trial and error, because every monster is different, right?
Yeah.
So that's just that's why I don't like prayer flicking as a mechanic.
Keep in mind, combos in fighting games started out from a bug too. Street Fighter, I believe it was 2, they fucked up, and characters were able to combo and string in multiple moves that would do a lot of damage, and that was never the intention of like Street Fighter. Like you play Street Fighter 1, you can't combo. You can do like an aerial to like a ground move, and that's as far as your combos can go. If you play like Street Fighter 2, I can string together these 4 hits, wow, and then that turned into like mind blasting, creating a whole new genre, right? I'm not saying I swear to God, there's a fucking genre of games based on pray flicking. I'm done. I'm fucking done, Jagex.
Thrown in the towel.
Just saying, let's get a GoFundMe. I'll take a shit on their front door.
But yeah, I do hope that like the Great Olm fight, like the last boss for Chambers of Xeric, is like a perfect raid encounter. They should just do something like, you know what I mean? Like the same influences they had for that, I hope they use towards that.
Every single Theater of Blood will just be Olm recolored.
Imagine.
Just 5 Olms in a row. Maybe a Jad in between.
Oh god, and that's where the prayer flicking comes in.
Yeah.
Fuck. Anyways, on the QA this week, they talked about kind of the Theater of Blood raid, as well as some of the people coming down to try to do the playtest. And I mentioned, we both talked about last week about how I was kind of surprised to see that they were able to beat the whole raid without ever dying. And then Deegan was saying, not totally surprised, because these are all like the best players coming down with the best gear, and you know what I mean, being able to just fight the bosses. But they did mention on the Q&A that these people who are playtesting it, they were able to fight each boss in their own fight. Like they didn't do the raid from one fight and then go all the way through it. They would fight boss number 1 with a full inventory. They'd fight it, finish the fight, and then they'd go refresh their inventory and fight the next boss separately. So they were able to skip, they could fight whatever boss they wanted at any time. So that kind of makes more sense on how they were able to go through every part of the raid without dying.
So it's more like they were able to kill each boss without dying. It's not like they went through an actual raid. They didn't do the actual raiding experience. They like geared up, killed one boss, geared up, killed the other boss.
Yeah, exactly.
So it wasn't really a genuine playtest. It was more of just like making sure there's no like boat you can click on, and now this boss doesn't do fucking damage to you for some reason. Looking at you, Cerberus.
Yeah, good times. But I think that's it for Theater of Blood.
Yeah.
Yep, it's I guess it's just rearing around the corner. This Thursday it'll be coming out, so yeah, excited for that. But I don't know. I guess we'll just mention they released some more invitations for the mobile client beta, but it seems like this might be happening every single week.
Yeah.
So no updates with that or anything. Just more invitations are out. So if you're looking to get in there and you haven't checked this week, check your mail center, I guess, on the website. But anyways, do you have anything you want to talk about for community stuff?
Sure. I know many of you guys don't care for RuneScape 3, but it brings up a discussion and it furthers my point I made a long time ago. Anyways, we'll talk about it. So there was this new boss that came out called Solak.
Right.
In RS3, and he is supposed to be like a super hard PVM challenge. You know, there's a new tier of like, I think it's like tier 92 crossbows or some shit that came out. I don't really know the specifics.
Yep.
But he drops this new gear, and he's supposed to be super hard. The fight was geared to be about 10 to 15 minutes long.
Mm-hmm.
And it was very challenging. So people struggled pretty hard for a long time, and blah, 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 blah. You know, people eventually, I think the first kill was done by a duo, so congrats to them. But the main thing, like, reason why I bring this up is that it was discovered a bug, I guess you could do to skip a phase and kind of cheese the boss out.
Okay.
So if you guys don't know, there's this skill in the game called summoning. It's really dumb, but whatever. You're able to summon like certain familiars or monsters to help you. And one of them is these titans. And the titan will like allow you to reflect a bunch of damage to the boss. I don't play too much RuneScape 3, so maybe someone can like tell us the specifics on how this familiar works. But anyways, you would use a certain familiar within the boss fight and you would reflect a shit ton of damage. And it was like, it made the boss really easy, and it was, you know, it was a bug.
Yeah,
and it was
seems
known
like some
for
sort of
like
exploit.
It was known for like well over a day, and people were like abusing it. There is a streamer, RS Golden Glory, who was seen abusing this bug.
Ooh, called out.
And everyone was kind of calling for these bug abusers to be banned from the game. And typically I'm the kind of person where like if there is a bug that's all on Jagex's fault and you're abusing it, it's on Jagex's shoulders, not yours.
Yeah.
And the example I like to pull from is when Guild Wars 2 was released, there's gold currency and then there's karma currency. And karma you get from like doing world quests and whatever. But you're able to buy a bunch of these like crafting supplies and then sell them somewhere else to get more money.
Yep.
And people got banned for doing that, but clearly the game developers fucked that up. Yeah. And it was kind of unfair to ban. And I thought, okay, well, that's silly. It's Jagex's fault. But the thing that kind of comes into this is that if you don't know, there's a Completionist Cape in RuneScape 3. It's like the best in slot cape. It's like, it's super overpowered, and it's technically like if you've completed the game. So you have to like do a bunch of castle wars and do all the quests and the music and all that stuff. But you also have to kill every single boss in the game.
Right.
And RS3 has some very difficult bosses, like compared to like old school, like some of these bosses are like super fucking hard.
Yeah.
Like much, much harder than any boss in old school. So what's really common is people will like pay to like leech or to get like free kill count on certain bosses to get this best cape in the game.
Mm-hmm.
And when new content comes out like Solak, there's a big community that has these completionist capes, but they don't really deserve it because they're buying it pretty much. Mm-hmm. They're buying boosts. So when Solak came out, a lot of people are upset because now they lose their capes, and this boss is really hard and no one can beat it. But now there's a bug that's discovered that makes the boss a lot easier, and you can skip like most of the, you know, the phases and whatnot. And I just thought it would be like interesting to talk about that. This mainly became a big issue and people like started to abuse it heavily. And a lot of the people that did it were these completionist cape people. That's like really where the issue comes in from. Like, I understand, hey, Jagex, you messed up. But the scary thing is now there's people that have this cape they don't deserve because of this bug.
Yeah.
And no one was getting banned for it or punished. People were doing it on stream. And it became this really big ordeal in the RS3 section. And I bring it up because back in the past, we've talked about bringing in a completionist cape to old school, where that's been suggested. People are like, yeah, we need a completionist cape. And my main point was, that it wouldn't just be a cosmetic. It would become the best cape in the game, you know, and then the issues like this would be brought up. And I just kind of want to like just chat about this whole ordeal. And like, what do you think Jagex should do if people are abusing like bugs like this for certain bosses? Like, should they be banned? Should they pull an Inferno Cape and revoke their kill count and their cape?
See, it's hard to say, because, like, one, if a bug gets found like this, it should be fixed as fast as possible. There shouldn't be, like, a day or two where enough people can do it, because that's the thing. As soon as this comes out, people who are like, I'm never going to be able to kill this boss, and they go, well, there's an exploit that you can do to get it. They're going to be like, well, let's do it now, because we know they're going to fix it. So they go and just try to abuse it as fast as possible.
Yeah.
But it gets tricky because, like, we see things where, like, the Cerberus bug, where some people are able to skip a bunch of the fight and just be able to kill it without taking damage, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that went on for a long time, but not many people knew about it. But there was, like, a handful of people that knew about it and didn't report it, but instead they just constantly killed it to, like, get a bunch of gains from it. You know what I mean? Like, should those players be banned because Jagex made a mistake? It gets a bit controversial because...
Yeah, that in itself, there's, like, a lot of rumors that the bug was intentionally put in place. And because it was, like, 1 or 2 people doing it, and one of the guys had a bot farm of, like, 50 people doing... Or 50 accounts doing it. And he was pulling, like, Ellie's every day.
Oh, yeah, the corp bug, yeah.
Yeah, sorry, what were you... I thought you were talking about the corp bug.
Cerberus, with the boat.
Oh, the boat, yeah, but also Cerberus. Sorry, yeah.
Cerberus was a bad one because...
Yeah. Sorry, I thought you said Corp for some reason. Yeah, the Corp one, that was, like, highly speculated that, like, one of the mods who doesn't work there anymore, one of the employees intentionally put the bug in.
Mm-hmm.
It's one of the reasons why the Granite Mall got changed.
Yep.
Was because you need the G Mall to do this bug. And yeah, people, like, there was a guy who was pulling Ellie's every day, and it was super sketchy scenario.
Yeah.
But I feel like if monetary gain, like, here's the thing, if you're, like, let's say the Cerberus or the Corp bug, if you're pulling in, like, mills and, like, maybe, you know, 100 mil or something a day abusing these bugs, you're probably going to real world trade it, so you're going to get banned regardless.
But the thing, like, the Completionist Cape one for Solak, it gets tricky because if you know the bug's there and you know how hard the fight is and you're not going to be able to maybe beat that fight, like, most people are going to try to do it, right? They're going to try to get their Completionist Cape. Should they get banned? Yeah. It's like there's one day, so there's going to be a bunch of people who do it, but there's also going to be a bunch of people who don't do it because they might not have time.
All right, well, let's put it in perspective of a Inferno Cape. What happens when you buy an Inferno Cape, the best melee cape in the game, and you get caught? Well, you get banned for a bit, and the cape gets taken away.
Yeah, that's true. I think the big problem is that there's a bunch of bugs. Like, I don't know how RS3 is with this stuff, but with Oldschool RuneScape, there's just a bunch of bugs that happen. Some of it becomes accepted in the game. Others you get banned for. So you never really know, like, what the effects are going to be from it. Like, another example was they did some change. I think it was to the dueling arena, to the interface for staking. But it allowed basically Iron Men to stake with non-Iron Man accounts and win the profits from it. So people were using that to send their Iron Men some decent items. And I believe what happened with that was all those Iron Men just got de-ironed.
Yeah, that's happened in the past, though. Iron Man used to be able to buy items from shops. So you could get your Iron Man 99 crafting and shit, which had happened to one streamer who I won't name, and he got de-ironed. Tanking. You remember when you could tank on your main? I think Iron Man might have been de-ironed for that. I know they changed it, though, and the Iron Man community kind of freaked out a little bit.
I know they changed it, but I don't recall anyone getting de-ironed for that.
Yeah.
Because that one in itself, you know what I mean? Like, you'd never really know. Some of it, you know for a fact that something bad's going to happen to your account. Probably. I shouldn't say you know for a fact, but most likely something bad's going to happen to your account. But then there's other things where you get your main to tank it, and you're like, this is going to be right on the line of, like, whether they're going to punish me for it or not.
If you're being dishonest, how can you complain about getting punished?
Yeah, that's true.
Right? Like, if I go and take a shit on Jagex's door and you guys pay for it, can I really be mad if I don't get this Orb of Oculus I've been trying to get? God damn it, Jagex, and I have my Orb of Oculus? Like, can I really be upset about that?
No.
It's like, no, I understand that laying dookie on their doorstep is gonna have some consequences. And, like, I should understand if I'm abusing this bug that, like, makes this new really hard boss easy to kill and I'm getting my Completionist Cape for it. And on top of that, I mean, you can buy, like, leeches and stuff, right? You're allowed to pay someone to carry you through a boss fight so you can get your Completionist Cape, and it's pretty common for people to do because the cape is so goddamn good. And, like, it's, you know, with the Infernal Cape, 69 Infernal Capes this week got taken out of the game. They banned 69 people. That was the last time I checked. There was a tweet on it.
Wow.
69 people got caught because people are like, there are people in this game that charge 400 mil for an Inferno Cape.
Damn.
And that takes them, what, like an hour to an hour and a half to do? These people are making 400 mil an hour, or maybe, let's just say 300 mil an hour, because it won't be a clean hour every time. But let's just really round it down and say 300 mil an hour getting capes for people. And one guy could get 5 capes for people in a day. I mean, dude, that's a lot of fun. I mean, they're going to real world trade that, obviously, but you can make a lot of money off this game. Like, that's ridiculous. When you're allowed to do fire capes, I can go try and find the post, the exact numbers. But there was a guy named Steroids. I'm only mentioning it because he's allowed to do it and he doesn't do it anymore. If he was able to be banned for this, I obviously wouldn't be, like, saying his name, but, like, Bodhi used to sell fire capes. Actually, oh my god, is he perm banned?
What did you do?
No, some, like, actual drug steroids came up. Not the RuneScape player.
Oh, fair enough.
Okay, yeah. His name's Steroid something. I won't give his exact name, I guess. Let me get the exact number. So he could sell 0 to 1 or 1 to 31 prayer fire capes, which you don't have overheads, right?
Yep.
And he's got, like, a bunch of evidence. Like, he's done it quite a bit. Oh my god, there's a lot of fucking screenshots. But they would go for, like, over 200 mil each, dependent on your stats. He made a fuck ton of money. I don't know what he did with it. I'm assuming he just kept it and he was a good boy and didn't real world trade. There's a lot of third age pickaxes, maybe. Couple T-bows, you know, he's a good kid.
Yeah.
Back in the day, you wouldn't really get in trouble for fire capes, but now you technically can. Mainly because they want to keep it consistent with the Inferno Cape. But, like, yeah, 69 people this week got in trouble and banned and got revoked. Keep in mind, this is before Raids 2, so I'm really hoping, like, as Raids 1 come out, like, as that update comes out, they, like, I want them to do a mass ban on Inferno Cape buyers and sellers.
Yeah, because, like, they want to keep the integrity of the Inferno Cape.
And it's a big fuck you.
Yeah.
It's a big fuck you for, like, cheating the system and paying someone to, like, do something really challenging on your account. Like, I think like, you shouldn't be buying achievements. Like, I get it, you know, you want to leech for a fighter torso. That's fine. You want to spend, like, 80 mil on, like, something that you could just buy a Bandos chestplate.
Yeah.
You know, you could buy way cheaper, but I understand people want to, like, leech those items, and that's different, right? You want to leech level 5s. That's different because you're still there. It's just you're spending the exact amount of time, but, you know, instead of doing 20 plus attempts on Inferno that take hours upon hours, you can just pay someone once and they'll do it for you. Boom, willy nilly.
Yep.
And it's the best cape in the game. And yeah, you get punished for it in Old School, but it seems like the comp cape is, like, going unpunished, which is, like, the equivalent of an Inferno Cape made Arena 2 and, like, Max Cape and, like, the assembler put together. You know what I mean? Like, it's the best cape in the game. It's fucking overpowered.
Unfortunately, it seems like RuneScape 3 is kind of a different monster. I think one big problem on why people can go unpunished for RuneScape 3 is because the player count is just a lot lower than Old School RuneScape.
And those players are probably buying those microtransactions like crazy.
Not just that, but, like, if you already have, like, a small percentage of players, you kind of don't want to ban the players that are consistently playing the game. You know what I mean? It's one thing if it's like this guy who just started playing for a month or so, but it's another about someone who's been consistently on the game for like years, right?
Yeah. So, but like,
whereas old school RuneScape has a consistently growing player base, and like they can afford to ban players who are level 126, but they bought an Inferno Cape because there's so many other players that are gonna get to that level eventually. Whereas RuneScape 3, they could be afraid that the amount of max levels they have could be what they're always gonna have, and if they just start picking off numbers, they might not ever get them back.
If you run around in RS3, you'll see people that are brand new to the game, and then people that are maxed in like Completionist Capes. Like, there's not really middle ground. Like, you can tell someone's trying out the game, and then they'll go to old school, as opposed to someone's been playing RS3 for a long, long, long time. Like, that's pretty much it. There's no like, I've been playing it for like a year, and I'm getting there. I'm like, you jump on old school. There's like, you go to the GE and everyone started a month after another person, consistently from like release to, you know what I mean? Like, you see all walks of like, this guy is like ranked 200 EHP, and then this guy is selling salmons. You know what I mean? Like that type of,
yeah, it's just a big variety of players.
Yeah, variety, I guess. The spectrum of players.
Possibly.
But like, so do you think if old school gets to a point where it's dying, they will stop like punishing Inferno Cape buyers?
Possibly, if they get to like, that's the problem is like, let me look right now actually. So right now on RuneScape 3, and this is also including people just sitting with the game open, there is 30,000 people playing, whereas old school RuneScape has 65,000 people currently playing.
In game though.
In game, yeah. And the thing is, this is like peak hours, right?
Yep.
As of recording, this is peak hours for people to be playing the game. So 30,000 people, yeah, that's a large number, but like,
how many are actively in game too?
Yeah, actively in game. That's one thing, and like,
and then old school, how many of those are bots?
Yeah, that's fair. But at the same time, like, I know there are some points throughout the week where there's like 15,000 people on RuneScape 3, which is kind of like a scary low number for a game that you want to be healthy, especially when there's so much to do in RuneScape 3. So you know what I mean? Like,
do you feel like microtransactions have a big thing? Because I'm assuming if you have a Completionist Cape, you've probably bought a lot of cosmetics and possible those keys, the squeals. I don't really know what they have for microtransactions, but I'm assuming you have a com cape, you've probably spent some extra money on microtransactions.
Possibly. I think it's unfair to say that everyone has done it, because I know there's probably tons who have never touched the microtransactions because they don't feel a need to. Also, if you're an Iron Man, you can't do any of that. But at the same time, there are definitely a handful of players that have spent hundreds upon hundreds, probably thousands of dollars on the game. Because I know there's just some people who just fall into that little trap. You know what I mean? And if you can afford it and you don't mind doing it, that's fine. But there's some people who like really should not be doing that type of stuff. And I know because I've had friends who are playing, there's a game on the phone called Summoner's War, which is basically like a Pokemon game almost. You just get these like monsters and you can set up like a party, and then you can go through like these dungeons with them.
Mm-hmm.
But in order to get certain monsters, or there's like these chests basically, we get these it's been a long time since I've played it, but I remember I had some friends who would sit down and there'd be like 3 of them, and they would all drop like $100 in one sitting, just opening up these chests, and they're like, nope, didn't get anything I needed. And you could tell they were really tempted to spend it again, but they would do it like every week or every couple of days. They'd spend like $50 on the game. You'd be sitting there, be like, man, you really I know you don't have that type of money. So like, you're literally spending all your expendable cash on this shit.
The main reason why like we're talking about this is that this is honestly a pretty volatile year for old school. So Jagex has been saying that after this Theater of Blood, they're not going to be doing any more endgame content, or like I shouldn't say endgame, which is no fucking endgame to this awful godforsaken addiction. There's no end. There's always something else. And if you get bored, you make a new account and try something different.
Or try the same thing again.
Yeah, but now you can't trade with other people, so it's even slower. So after this Theater of Blood, they said that they're gonna go back and they're gonna start touching up on like other things. Maybe they'll put some more quests in, who knows? But like they're kind of done with like raids and like Inferno, because like that's been all the major updates minus Fossil Island. But even then, it was still like you want to hunt a pet herbivore, new endgame shield, the ancient wyvern shield thingy, the fossil whatever that mage DFS stuff is. Yeah, like this, let's say this Theater of Blood flops and you have to pray flick nonstop. And so that immediately turns away 99% of like the high level community, except for those people that have the Inferno Capes and enjoy that type of gameplay. Cause if I don't enjoy raids 2, I'm not going to do it.
Yeah, exactly. Why would you?
Like there's a reason why I have 68 fire making. I could hit level 80 by the end of this podcast, but I just don't want it because I don't like it. I don't do shit I don't like. That's why I didn't do Slayer for half a year. I just didn't like it. That's why I sit on Sire tasks for a month. If the community gets turned off from raids 2, then it's either they have to quickly pump out another endgame or high level content update, or they just say, well, that sucks, you have challenge mode raids, and then they continue to like kind of tweak quality of life, whatever, all that stuff. And if the player base slowly starts to die out, and mobile doesn't ever come around, because it's going to be like another year probably at this rate, and they implement some sort of cosmetic microtransaction, like, and they start going down that slippery slope, or do you think they're going to just like stop punishing people for Inferno Capes?
No, I feel like the only time they would stop punishing people for Inferno Capes is when the player base is not consistently growing or not growing at all. And if anything, you're just noticing that you're losing players slowly over time. You don't want to lose even more players by banning them.
Okay, yeah.
That's what it seems like.
Still kind of like, I don't know. Yeah, I guess.
They're not worried about the integrity of their game because they're not getting new players that are like, oh, the Completionist Cape, that looks so awesome. Everyone is like, I used to have the Completionist Cape. You know what I mean? Whereas the Inferno on old school RuneScape, most people will see that cape. There's a lot of people, I guarantee, will see that cape and they'll go, whoa, what the hell is that? That's not the lava cape. I don't remember that.
Mm-hmm.
Because they're either not aware of it, or like, let's face it, you don't see very many Inferno capes.
Yeah.
But I will say this, Solak, the new boss, looks fucking cool. I was watching some streams on release, and the fight looks fucking pretty crazy.
Yeah.
There's some cool shit that goes on there, and yeah, I feel like when it comes to bossing, RuneScape 3 really does a good job on just the way they look and the way some of the fights are. They do have a lot more to work with, but you know, credit where credit's due. They do a good job when it comes to creating some of these bosses. But I guess we can move on. Is there anything else you wanted to talk about?
I just want to like talk about that. There was a suggestion this week, cosmetic achievements that were like, have you seen the war paint suggestion?
I only see the picture you posted in the show notes.
Okay, yeah, that was just like another example. But so it was suggested, and I think it's kind of a cool idea, where certain achievements you were able to unlock certain war paint, which would be like just like a tattoo for your character, like Neve or Duradel or Vanica. You know how they have like the war paint on?
Yeah. Okay, I did see this. This was posted on Reddit.
So, you know, maybe like X amount of kills in the wilderness, you can get this color and this style. Maybe like after 500 tasks of Slayer, you get this color and this style. Maybe if you kill all the bosses 500 times, I'm just throwing out random numbers, you get this style. That's just like a cool little cosmetic thing that maybe, you know, can kind of work towards that whole Fashionscape thing. What do you think about that?
It looks pretty cool. Yeah, I have it pulled up here. So this was a suggestion posted on Reddit by the user Rupert. It looks pretty cool. Yeah, there's different face paints and like body paints and stuff like that. And if you're wearing an armor like the Varrock's chest, where like your chest is exposed.
Yeah, Varrock's or like Bandos or something.
Yeah, Bandos, you can kind of see the actual thing on your chest, which looks pretty awesome. Only problem is, what about them female characters? They're not gonna be able to show off their chesties as much.
Hey man, body paint. It's not actual nudity. There's body paint.
Yeah, you can cover up the nipples a little bit.
Yeah.
But what happens if you're not wearing any armor? Can they make it so I can be walking around like a Speedo when I don't have any armor equipped?
I think they would have to do something like that.
Yeah.
They can even just have it like related to your arms and your legs, you know, have like body tattoos and stuff.
Or just do your face or something, but
yeah.
I think it's a pretty cool idea.
Do a little fousey tube, tattoo a hairline. There's a YouTuber who like he went bald, so he got someone to tattoo a hairline onto him.
Okay. What the fuck?
Never mind.
Okay, interesting. Yeah, that's a pretty decent suggestion.
Do you have anything you want to talk about? Well, actually, I guess one thing I wanted to mention, and it's kind of fun. So, you ever have it where you're like hanging out at the Grand Exchange and someone comes up and says, "Can I have money?"
Yes.
So, what I've always done is I look up their stats, and if they have like level 1 runecrafting or hunter, I say get 44 runecrafting or get 29 hunter. I'll like just pick one and I'll give you 500k.
Yeah.
And they always just fucking world top. They'll always just like leave you alone because like that's awful.
It's an awful grind, but that's totally worth it.
Yeah, I mean, hey, unlock the ability to runecraft nats and you get like 1 mil. It's a win-win.
So you're saying if I come up to you and ask you for money, you'll just pick a random skill for me to level?
Not random, whatever the worst thing I could possibly choose for you. At looking at your current stats, I will be like, level that up to this and I'll give you some money.
Get 99 agility. Yeah, no thanks.
Yeah, like if, yeah, that's probably what I would do. So anyways, I'm bank standing, hanging out with some buddies, and noobs keep coming up and asking us for money, blah, 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 blah. And I tell this one guy to get 29 hunter, and I'll give him 500k. And he's like, all right, add me. I'm like, oh, really, eh? He's like, yeah, I'll go do that right now. Okay. Any suggestions? I'm like, go do the Varrock Museum basement quiz, like the natural history quiz.
Mm-hmm.
And you'll have level 9, and then just look up a guide and do that. Like 5 days later, he sends me a message, and he's like, level 30 hunter. I'm like, oh, fuck, I actually have to pay this dude some money?
God damn it.
And he comes up, and he's like, I meet him at the GE, give him some money, and he's like, oh, dude, I didn't think you'd actually pay me. Like, thank you, that is awesome. Do you have anything else you want me to do? I'm like, go get 44 runecrafting. I'll give you 1 mil. And so now he's gonna be doing that for like the next week and a bit, probably.
Next thing you're gonna say is like, give me 1k nats and I'll give you 100k.
Well, like, after that, I'll be like, dude, you can just runecraft nats and you're set. Like, I'm not gonna keep giving him little... I might tell him to get full graceful and I'll give him, like, some more money, but he's the first person... Dude, I do this, like, every day someone will ask me for money, and every day I'll, like, give him a task, and this is the first person out of, like, a couple hundred that is actually, like, I'm fucking down, that sounds fun, and he goes and... he does 1 to 29 hunter. That is so bad. And he was like, thanks, man. Now what? Go do runecrafting. Okay, like... He might actually just quit after I'm done with them.
Yeah.
Let's be real. But I don't know. I think it's really funny that, like, this person actually just didn't know how to make money or know what to do. I think he might be Venezuelan, so he'll get banned soon enough for real world trading.
Oh, yeah.
But, like, I don't know. I just think it's pretty interesting. And if people, like, ask you for money, just do that. Give them little tasks. Make sure, yeah, if it's a pure, I always tell them to get 5 defense.
Mm-hmm.
Always tell them to get 6 defense or like something random that will like fuck their account up.
Nice.
Just like whatever you can, and like you get some fun little interactions like that. I don't know, just a little suggestion.
Yeah, have some fun at the GE. Few things I had noticed, and a handful of these come from the Q&A this week, so I'll just run through them real quickly. They mentioned that once the Theater of Blood raid comes out, they are going to start kind of working on some quality of life updates for the Chambers of Xeric.
Mm-hmm.
I think that also means bringing some of the less favorable rooms, maybe nerfing them a little bit, or buffing some of the easier rooms to make it so that they're all on par. Because right now, at least for me, when I'm scouting them, I know there's a few rooms to avoid because I'm just not going to be able to beat them, which is kind of weird because usually when I do a raid, it's so easy up until the Ulm fight, but it's because I'm skipping some of the harder rooms.
Yeah. How do you feel about, say, paying 15 mil and you get a setup like you can unlock maybe 15 mils? I think it's a good number. It doesn't matter. You pay X amount of money, a lot of money, let's just say 15 mil, and you can buy like layouts, or you can save, like, let's say you could save up to 3 layouts. So you're like, okay, well, I like this layout for solos, I like this for teams, and I like this for whatever. And you could, like, buy certain, so you don't have to scout, but you do have to dump a lot of money in How do you feel like that is some sort of gold sink? And if you want to use someone else's, you have to also pay money or give up one of your slots. So you can't like have one guy pay 15 mil. You'd have to give up X amount of money to unlock a certain, because like, let's be real, there's going to be like 3 layouts most people would use if this was a thing.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
But that's still a lot of money getting like GP getting taken out of the game. Items will be getting put back into the game. Those are also like the dex scrolls and the arcanes will be used. You know what I mean? Like I think it's a good way to dump money out of the game. The only issue is that it takes 5 minutes less time to find the right raid.
I've thought about that. It seems like a fair idea, but one of the problems I see with it is that, as you mentioned, there'll be like 3 different layouts that everyone's going to mostly use. But like, the only thing I don't like is that Jagex put a lot of work into every one of these rooms, basically, and a bunch of them just won't ever be used. And if they are used, it'll be during scouting where they're just going to skip it.
Well, 2 of them won't be. There'll be people that will probably use Tecton. It's just Vespula Vanguards. That's like the only rooms that like people refuse to do. And even then, I'll still do a Vespula if it's like a trio and below. Well, trio or duo, I won't solo it.
Yeah. Part of me hopes I would rather them just kind of nerf it so that they could so that doing the other rooms wouldn't be so painful, that they're all kind of on par with each other.
So what if they had, instead of maybe changing how the rooms are, how would you feel if they gave bonus points?
And you had to spend some money?
No. It's just like, okay, well, Vespula Vanguards are never touched. Double their points. Fuck it. If you decide to do them, you're getting a shit ton of points. Like Vanguards and Vespula now give you easily, by a good margin, the most points in a raid.
That's another way of doing it, to be honest. That's not the worst idea. The only problem is some of them, I haven't done them yet, but some of them so I'm still pretty bad at raids, so I struggle with certain rooms, so I just skip them. So I don't know if it's actually like how hard it is for a solo player. But as you mentioned with Vespula, you'll do it in a trio, but you won't do it on a solo. Like, you know what I mean? You want to be able to kind of have it so that it scales at the same level, so that a solo you can struggle just as much as kind of with a trio. Does that make sense?
Well, if they'd have to change how Vespula works as a boss.
Yeah.
Because I don't do it in solos, because there's a way you can manipulate the boss where he's always in this like defensive mode type thing where he's not actually attacking the grubs.
Mm-hmm.
And you can skip the actual challenge of the boss, and I can't do it. Because the timing is super awkward. It's like either 8 ticks or 8 hits. I don't know. It's so weird. I haven't really practiced it though, if I'm being honest.
Yeah.
So I just get like my friend to do it for me. Well, we just like kill Vespula and then, we take down the bug and then we attack the portal and then he'll manipulate the boss to like not really do anything. And the boss itself is pretty easy when you can do that. It's just, I don't do it in a solo because I haven't learned the technique and I don't really feel like it's worth my time to learn it.
Yeah, okay.
Vanguards though is, super shit.
It's a tough one.
The thing is that it's super easy in a trio because everyone sticks to a certain, guy. One guy sticks to the melee, one sticks to the ranger, one sticks to the mage. When you solo it, you kind of have to like memorize what all their health values are, maybe follow one around, but sometimes like the melee guy will just start running into the other guys and now you're getting hit by all 3 of them because...
Yeah, if you don't know, Vanguards is 3 monsters. You got to take them they got to stay in like 20% of each other's health.
Yeah, 30, but yeah.
Yeah, it's tough. I don't know. I guess we'll have to wait and see what this quality of life actually means, because there's a lot they could do. There's things where like they're just making it less tedious or making fights easier.
The only thing I can think of for quality of life is buying pre layouts. Maybe even buying layouts that change every week.
It could be like things just that like making it quicker to gather resources.
Well, I was also going to say, like, what if they added like not hidey holes, but like chutes for scavenger rooms where you could kill them and drop them in a chute and then they appear in a farming room?
Yeah.
Sorry, let me... Telemarketer. Yes, like what if they made it so there was maybe a chest or like a chute so you didn't have to run your supplies around so much, and when you're in teams it makes it a lot easier.
Yeah, exactly.
Stamina potions.
Yeah.
Let's make fucking stamina potions. Jesus.
Anti-poison. Yep.
Anti-poison. Yeah.
Yeah, we'll have to, I guess, wait and see. They're going to have that just around the corner after the Inferno update. But another thing they did touch on this week during the Q&A was the death mechanic. And we talked about a survey they had a while back where they were kind of asking questions on what you would prefer, because they know right now that the way the death mechanic is not great for the game, where like you die, your items are on the ground for an hour, just go back and pick them up.
Or you lose internet and boom, there goes like 80 mil.
Yeah, there's that. But the thing is like if you're doing a boss and he kills you, let's say Cerberus, because I'm pretty sure when we talked about this, I was doing Cerberus a bunch, but I would die. And eventually it just turned out to be when I died, it just counted as a bank run, because now I have all these resources on the ground that I can just pick up when I get back there. You know what I mean? Like you have all these different inventories of food that you just can use. It didn't matter if I died or not. So anyways, they've kind of talked about it a bit. And it seems like what they're going to be going with is that when you die, you'll be dropping a tombstone on your body of where you died. That tombstone will last for 20 minutes. But it goes across all worlds, so you could switch worlds and go back, and your tombstone will still be there. If you log out, the timer will stop, or if you disconnect, the timer will stop. And there will be some sort of fee connected with it, whether it's a flat fee of like 50k when you die, or if it's going to go on a percentage of what your loot was. That wasn't revealed yet, but it seems like that's the death mechanic they're going to be going with.
Yeah. The death mechanic in RuneScape 3 currently is, well, it used to be the tombstone, and it was a little bit different from how Oldschool is, but now they have it as like a death's office where you die and you can go and pay to reclaim your items. And it's based off of the percentage of your gear. I don't know the exact math behind it because I don't play RS3, but they have a thing called the Ring of Death. Yeah, so they have a thing called the Ring of Death, and what happens where if you're wearing it and you die, you'll teleport to like where your respawn is, and this ring loses like 15% of its charge, and you don't have to pay a fee. So it's very good for if you're in like max gear, and you don't want to spend like X amount of money, you're going to want to bring this ring that will save you a bunch of GP, and you charge it with like onyxes, so that's how they get like it's an onyx sync for them.
Oh wow.
And that will like always have like a decent value with it. But I think that is a super cool idea. That it has like mage range and strength bonuses and a little bit of a prayer bonus. It's not like a bad ring itself, but it's really good if you're doing content that you're not really comfortable doing, where you might die. So you can equip this, and you have a couple of deaths that prevent you from paying money, and it makes it very worth it when if you're a high level or a high gear. Like imagine dying with a T-bone, you have to pay 10% of that.
Yeah, there's what, 130 mil?
Yeah, like ouch. On top of your gear, ouch. You're broke. You can't buy it. So this would be that answer. And so do you think if there's like a fee that's similar to the tombstone, do you think they should bring in some sort of Ring of Death where it isn't the best in slot for, you know, mage ring? It's not like a Zerker or an Archer or a Seer's ring, but maybe it's a middle ground, and it prevents, you know, death fees.
That's not a bad idea. They could even tie it in with like a Revenant Caves unique. You know what I mean? They've talked about that and how they're going to be bringing a dev blog for that later on. But
yeah, that's pretty good idea. They've also talked about in the past that they want to add a secondary usage slot for like a ring, so you could have like a Ring of Dueling and a Berserker, right?
Yeah, that was just like an idea someone pitched out. A JMod said that they really liked that idea. At first, I was like, no, that's a terrible idea. But then the more I thought about it, I was like, actually, it's kind of a good idea, because you just have a utility ring slot.
Yeah.
So yeah, you have one ring slot where it's like Berserker ring, Archer's ring, something that actually gives you stats, whereas the utility slot would be like a Ring of Dueling, maybe a Ring of Wealth. Just a ring that doesn't actually
help you kill shit. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So no rings of recoil or anything like that.
Yeah. So it would be, what if they implemented this Ring of Death, but it's pretty much a Ring of Life that you, like, imagine like a Ring of Life but you use an onyx on it or some shit. It becomes a Ring of Death, and all it does is if you die, the ring breaks and you don't have to pay your fee. You keep all your items on you, you keep everything on you, no fee, ring's gone. So you're actively, using, well, the onyx would go up, but like a mil or two to ensure that you're not paying like 100 mil if you die.
Yeah, it's not a bad idea. And I will say, though, going back to that RuneScape 3, their death mechanic where you go to Death Slayer, honestly, I kind of really like that idea of going to like another realm of where, like an afterlife almost. I kind of like that. The tombstone, for some reason, I was kind of hoping they would kind of go in that direction where you would die and you just go to this like, Death Slayer for a minute and talk to him. But tombstone works too. Yeah, it's not a bad idea to bring a ring of death of some sort. And last thing I wanted to mention is that there was an Easter egg for the quest Client of Kourend that got solved. So the Client of Kourend, it's not a new quest. It's a quest that's is basically the first quest you do on Zaya. It's kind of an easy one. You don't even have to do it to get to Zaya, but anyways.
It's a good intro quest to the area.
Yeah, exactly. So, about 2 months ago, a user on the subreddit named Spinewielder, he posted about the Easter eggs that have been released for the Client of Kourend. Mod Wolf was a JMod that had placed these in there, and he talked that there was 2 of them to be found. First one was pretty easy. You wear a ring of Cheros, and then you speak to Vios's, which is a guy in the quest. You speak to his client, which reveals his identity. So that was pretty easy. The second one remained unsolved for over a year. Mod Wolf eventually tweeted, for those asking about the Easter eggs, the first one reveals the client's name, which was found. The second one gives more information about Vios and starts a hidden mini storyline. So anyways, it wasn't able to be found until this week. Someone actually figured out the second Easter egg, which it took over a year for someone to figure this one out. So again, posted by Spinewielder on the subreddit. What you would have to do is you would use a set of wolf bones on Vios. The bones will remind him of Copper, which is his pet wolf, who wore a crimson collar. When Vios was traveling in the Fremenic province, he and his wolf, who was 19 years old, were ambushed by a group of feral foxes and suffered fatal wounds. Vios ran away, and he sought to search for his remains, to no avail. And then to progress this, you would offer to help Vios, which would then have you would then go travel to the Fremenic province. Just north of the Sinclair mansion, you can find foxes across the river. When you kill one of them, they will drop an item called Copper's Crimson Collar. You bring that back to Vios, and he doesn't really do anything except for he thanks you for the help. So there's no reward for this Easter egg. It kind of just gives the Vios character some closure on his pet dog or fox or whatever. Wolf. Mm-hmm. But yeah, as of right now, not really sure if there's anything more to that Easter egg, but I thought it was just kind of cool that something can go on for so long. It's literally just an Easter egg. You get no rewards from it. There's nothing to let you know you've completed this part of the mini storyline. It's just like kind of like hidden lore, sort of.
Yeah, just a nice little Easter egg, I guess. Cute little thing they added. I think Mod Wolf actually like made that.
Well, yeah, and it makes sense if you have to get like wolf bones and stuff like that.
Yeah, he's preserving himself in the game.
Yeah. But I thought it was pretty cool. It kind of reminded me of like the older Halo games, how Bungie used to do things like that, especially with like the skulls and stuff like that. Yeah. But I thought it was kind of interesting. You see these little hidden Easter eggs pop up from time to time, but yeah, I guess that's about it. Nothing else to talk about in the community. Shall we move on to the lore?
I think it's time.
Last episode, we talked about the death of King Shazian VII, reappearing as Xeric, where he was cast out from the kingdom of Great Kourend, being known as the Exiled King. He then adventured to Quidamortum, exploring the caves beneath, which would later be known as the Chambers of Xeric. Before Xeric was exiled from the Great Kourend, on the day 312 of the 47th decade, a farmer witnessed a lizardman guard murder a child while working on his farm. This farmer would then gather the people of his town and begin an uprising. The people revolted, and within 7 days, the lizardmen were outnumbered and driven to the caves beneath Kourend. The temple surrounding the Dark Altar was destroyed in this revolt. This caused Xeric to lose his powers, which then forced him to exile and leave the kingdom. After this revolt, the farmer would then be crowned king of Great Kourend on day 339 of the 47th decade. He would then rule for 3 decades. This farmer was known as King Byrne I. His son, his successor, King Byrne II, ruled for another 2 decades after his, but his reign was cut short when King Byrne II died of unknown causes. Because he had no heir old enough to take the throne, his wife, Byrene, was crowned as Queen Byrene I. She was to rule until their son, later known as King Byrne III, was old enough to sit on the throne. During her ruling, she took the man responsible for the Great Kourend spy network, Lord Piscalarius, also known as the Lord of Intelligence, as her consort, and would then birth a daughter, where in the future would be known as Queen Byrene II. Her reign ended within a decade, where she was then forced to step down, but not by her own will. She had wanted to carry out the work that had been set in place by her husband, King Byrne II, and finish the plans he had for the kingdom. But because of the laws, she had no choice but to give up the throne to her son, as he had finally come of age. With King Byrne III now ruling over the kingdom, it is believed that Lord Piscalarius conspired through his network of spies to take him down, because in the 54th decade, he was murdered by the blade of an assassin in his own quarters. With his reign being so short, less than a decade, he had not been able to achieve any greatness while on the throne. With him now dead, Queen Byrene I returns, where she would rule for another 2 decades before passing the throne to her daughter, Queen Byrene II. 100 years later, on the 121st decade through to the 123rd decade, a great civil war breaks out on the kingdom. Little is known about the events that took place after Queen Byrene II took the throne, and little is known about the civil war itself. All we know is that there was no ruler at this time. Much information may have been lost during the war, but it is currently unknown. Alrighty, so last week I had mentioned how the user Blood Orchid wanted me to kind of touch on some things for mobile and talk about the pros and cons on doing them on specifically mobile. So I asked you guys on things you would like to see, and some suggestions were to try out more Vorkath, try out some PKing, the experience per hour for some of the common skill training methods, some pest control, doing fletching, rune crafting, some quests, the experience rates for lava rune crafting, a fire cape, maybe Inferno. Yeah, and that's it. So, thanks everyone for the suggestions. I will start tackling them. Things like quests, I might try if it's straightforward quests, but I cannot imagine doing some of them on mobile. Especially if you DC every time you minimize it. Looking at a guy would be fucking dreadful.
Just take your girlfriend's phone, load up some Slayer music.
Yeah, just, sorry, babe, I gotta take this for the day. I gotta go to work, but I need 2 phones to do what I gotta do.
A phone on each knee? You're set.
So I'm, definitely gonna try some of those things out. But anyways, we got a request from the user Iron John Cena. And there was a suggestion that he wanted us to kind of look at and give our opinions on. So this was basically the desert wilderness. Have you seen, did you see this suggestion?
I have not.
So we know right now there's a giant black box kind of at the south end of the desert next to Sophanum. It's kind of one of the parts missing from the desert area. Anyways, so this desert wilderness suggestion would kind of be like, obviously like the wilderness, but in the desert instead, which would add some PVM and some skilling elements as well. There would be a northern area with single-way combat, and the southern area, which would be multi-way combat. To enter, there'd be a toll booth, which would require you to pay some gold to act as a gold sink when entering. Some PVM suggestions, a roaming sandworm boss. So this would cause, like, if you want to do some PVMing, you would have to kind of roam around this wilderness area looking for this actual boss, which makes it pretty risky. Possibly a castle for sand skeletons, that when you would kill them, they would drop sand bones, which could act as a different way of training prayer of some sorts. Possibly an underground sand and water-themed dungeon could possibly add a cool new boss. Maybe
no water temples.
Yeah, no water. Yeah, good call. Good call. Then for PVMing, there could be some fishing areas off the coast, some hunting areas, maybe some cacti that would give you water skins and some possible seeds to use for farming. There would also be teleport obelisks in the deepest corners of this to allow for faster travel around the desert area. And there'd be no teleporting out of the southern area and no teleporting out of the north area past the halfway mark.
This is like a PvP area, right?
Yeah, like the wilderness, but in the desert.
I'm going to be honest. I don't think that's a good idea. Mainly because they've added a bunch of updates to the actual wilderness, and finding people there has gone to the point now where you just go to the Revenant Caves because they made the Rev Caves, they kind of pulled all the players to one area.
Yeah.
But if you want to kill PVMers at certain bosses, it's go hop 30 worlds and then try and kill one.
Which sucks.
And if you split the communities into two different, there's everyone at Rev Caves and then everyone in the Sands of Wilderness stuff. There's the sandy shores.
Yeah.
It would kind of kill the PKing scene even more, I guess.
I think that's the big issue with it. Like, the idea is pretty cool. There's a lot you could do with it. It's pretty unique and stuff like that. But the big issue is that the problem is you don't want to split as you said, the PvP community even more. You want to entice people to come into the wilderness. If this desert area were to pop up, you would want it to entice people who are already not willing to go to the northern wilderness.
Yeah.
So there had to be some way to be like, well, I won't go to that one, but I will go to this one.
Clue scrolls.
Yeah, exactly.
That's pretty much it. That's I don't know. I think if they should save that content they can't really add another city because they already have Sofna, Menopause, Polynevich, Uzer,
Narda,
and the Bandit Camp.
Yeah, the Bandit Camp.
So they can't really add a new town. I don't really think they should add a wilderness. And we mentioned it before, but I think it would be kind of cool if they saved that for Raids 3.
Yeah.
Call it Sands of Time,
Yeah, that's the name we're going to go with. Sands of Time.
I do like the idea of a roaming sandworm if they want to keep it as an open area, but keep in mind every time there's a roaming boss, you find a way to safe spot it. Look at what happened to Crazed Archaeologist. Look at Callisto, Venenatus. And then it's gonna turn into, we'll just make an instance area. So now you're fighting a sandworm in a cave, and that just looks gross.
Yeah.
So it doesn't really work because people will find a way to abuse the boss.
I have an idea for that sandworm boss, because I do like that idea. I like a roaming boss, but yeah, it's very easy to exploit.
Maybe Mole Mom 2.0 in terms of it just, you attack it goes underground and starts to move, and you follow it. You can see the tremors of where it's moving to.
It's not a bad idea. What I was thinking was maybe you see the initial spawn, you attack it, and it's not the hardest to kill, but when you kill it, he burrows down to the ground, you jump into that hole, and now you're in an instanced area, or an enclosed area.
Yeah.
Where you can fight him without having to save spot.
Yeah, that would be pretty cool. I feel like Fossil Island, I kind of even say it's dead content, but the bird houses actually are pretty useful. You should do your bird houses. I don't do them because that's a daily type thing, and I don't do that shit. But bird houses are pretty decent. Volcanic Mine, pretty decent. The Wyverns, I guess they're better than before, but Herbivore is also a huge pull for people to go back.
Yep. Sulisep Mushroom, the woodcutting thing, haven't really done it, but I might try it if I ever want to go for that 99 woodcutting, because it's supposed to be...
I've done a bit of it. It's pretty... I don't like it.
Okay.
It's not my favorite. I haven't spent the most time in Fossil Island, though, I'm going to be honest, so my opinion might not be valid. But if they were to do some sort of Fossil Island 2.0, but it's some sandy, PVM skilling hotspot, I don't really think it would just work. Because, so every, you gotta have, a pull to keep people there instead of just, if someone's going somewhere for one thing, eventually it'll be dead content.
Yeah.
Zia, you go to Zia because there's sand crabs, there's raids, you want to get your favors, there's the Arceus library, which is good rune crafting experience. You want to go to, Shazian for the Lizardman Shaman, you want those Warhammers, or you want those, the Talisman or the Teeth, depending on if you're an Iron Man. There's, niche experience rates that you can get through those books that you get or whatever. You trade them in for experience. I know like Ultimate Iron Man and shit do that. Or not Ultimate Iron Man, 10 HP accounts do that. They have a bunch of like little random things that people do, but there's enough of it that it keeps people around, right? There's a woodcutting guild. That's not really niche, but there's teeth farming. I can keep going on. There's like in every house it has something to like keep a player there for a little bit, and if they're done with that certain content, it's like, oh, I have 99 woodcutting. Well, I'll go fish anglers, you know?
Yeah.
I got my beaver from cutting redwoods. I'll go fish anglers and go get my heron pet. Cool. They need, like, that's why I think Kourend was done really well, like, because there's a lot of content there that is varied, and it's there to keep, like, you're gonna go there and do them for a long time, and when you're done, you can go do something else for a long time. Fossil Island, to my knowledge, doesn't really have that. It has a daily and the herbivore pet. Maybe if you want to do mining, I guess, or like you're hunting for that shield from the fossil wyverns.
Yeah.
But let's just say Fossil Island was so bad you can buy something to prevent you getting a Slayer task there.
Yeah, fair enough.
All right, that's a good example of like how shitty that place is.
It's not that bad though, because you can get it.
I'm over exaggerating a lot, but you can buy a thing to get a free block on the wyverns, and you know I got that shit. But
yeah, it's a good way to get some rune crafting experience from the lamps from making those the fossil cabinets.
Yeah, I guess if they were to. And the thing is with Fossil Island, though, is that it is like a new area. Like, they created a new area for it. They're not, like, dedicating, like, this could be really interesting content in the desert. You know, if they turn, like, if Fossil Island was where the desert was, where not many people go there, and it's, you go there for a little bit, maybe once or twice a day, blah, 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 blah. It sucks that they're using, like, a really, like, prime real estate. I should say, I don't know. So like a good area for like bad content, I guess. And like maybe they could make it amazing, right? Maybe they could make like it fun to dig for sand and fill up your sand buckets.
Yeah. But I think the big problem is this could be really cool and stuff, but the problem is that it's really hard to bring new people into the wilderness, and that's really what needs to happen.
Okay, you know what the biggest poll? If they made the biggest poll they could do is make no multi-combat in there.
It's not bad.
Mainly, that's what stops me from PKing and shit. Like, I'll go PKing until a clan jumps me, and I go, alright, I'll come back later. It's fine. I don't mind dying, but I do get annoyed where I get into a good 1v1 fight, and then next, 6 people come up and they're spamming hashtags telling me I'm bad. And you're like, okay, well, first of all, I'm in Salads, you're in Mystics, and I was winning. Okay. Check one.
Yeah, sure.
You guys are now spec trading on me, and I somehow escaped to KBD.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? That's happened once. I'm usually dead, like, instantly if that happens. But what kills the wilderness isn't getting PK, it's by getting jumped by, like, clans. That's what's killing the wilderness.
Yeah, and you're not gonna win that fight unless you're with another clan.
I mean, I killed someone in a 1v3, made 2 people telly. That felt really good, but they were really bad too.
Yeah, that's pretty rare.
But that never happens. Yeah, it's happened once out of like the 30 times I've been jumped by a clan. They'd have to like, if they want to like add some sort of cool thing to the wilderness, they have to make getting attacked fun.
Yeah.
And it's really hard to do that. The best way you can do it is by giving someone a better advantage to escape or to like run away.
Yeah.
Making it so like add like, I don't know. Like the wilderness, I guess, is supposed to be like you're caught and you're not prepared. Okay, well you're dead. But what if you're caught and prepared, but they found a way to just sneak around it by bringing in 30 people. That barrage, now you're TB, now this guy's de-spearing you to this part, now, they push you into multi, or maybe, hey, this guy spec-tellied, this guy spec-tellied, this guy spec-tellied.
Yeah, exactly.
So it'd be really hard to find a way to make the sandy wilderness a fun experience for like the prey and predator.
Yeah,
And to make it useful content. But then also to make sure the wilderness isn't completely just for pet hunters and Rev Cave, like low levels trying to make money.
Yeah, PvP updates are so hard because you need to balance every part of it. Because you don't want it. It's easy to kill one part of it.
Yeah.
Interesting concept. I would like the idea. I like the desert area. I like the idea of bringing water skins. You know what I mean? Having to sacrifice inventory slots for it. But
yeah, maybe the only thing I can think of is a dedicated bounty hunter area.
Yeah. That's
the only thing I can think of that would, like, you make bounty hunter only applicable in that spot. So all those nasty edge boys, they stay away from my town, my bank.
Shit.
But you know what I mean? Like, I don't know.
Yeah. I gotcha. But yeah, thanks for sending your suggestions. Thanks you for sending in that suggestion for us to talk about. It is interesting to see, and I like people usually do really good work with suggestions like that. Like they take the time out to come up with something that they're not going to get paid money for it. You know what I mean? If Jagex likes it, they're just going to put it into the game and profit off of it. So
yeah, they might put their character in Big Red Japan, but
yeah, exactly. Anyways, if you guys have anything else in the future that you want to send to us, ask us questions, tell us anything, do let us know at some of the following. If you want to do it in-game or hang out with us in the clan chat, it is WildCC. Our Twitter is at the Wilderness RS. Our Facebook is facebook.com/thewilderness podcast. Our email is thewildernesspodcast@gmail.com. And we have a Discord posted on both Facebook and Twitter if you're interested in joining on that one. If you can't find the link for whatever reason, just let us know and we will get you one out there. Deegan, what do you got for us?
Twitch and Twitter, DeeganRS. You know what? How about this? Just help me get my Orb of Oculus, and I will never plug my shit again. I just fucking want it. I have a sick idea, and I tried doing it without it, and it just doesn't work. The UI, I can't like WoW mode. I can't Controller Alt Z and hide on my UI and record something.
Mm-hmm.
I need an Orb of Oculus, but I'm too irrelevant.
One day.
Sad moment.
One day.
Moment of silence. But like, you know, give a good old follow, maybe tweet at like Modrock or someone and be like, hey, this Deegan guy, he's pretty cool. You should give him one.
Well, you know, I'll be jumping on your account to take some screenshots for each of these episodes.
Yeah. But yeah, pretty much help me get that. So that'd be swell. Other than that, that's pretty much it. I've been streaming. I guess I'm just kind of streaming at like random times. Generally it's throughout the day, but I've been streaming like consistently each day, like every day. Twitter, whatever. It's whatever.
Let me guess, you're gonna try to be more active?
I've been lurking it. You know what I mean? I lurk Twitter. I don't like post much. I posted something today, but
okay. Not bad.
Yeah, I just kind of like lurk around that shit. Anyways.
All right, well, I guess on that note, let's get on out of here.
Yeah.
Alrighty, guys. Thanks so much for listening to episode 87. Tune in next week for the double eights.
Yeah, buddy. All right, have a good one.
Take care, everybody.